Hi, and welcome everyone to the Creative Cast. My name is Lucas Holman, and today I'm very excited to have a good friend on the show, Abelardo García. Welcome, mate.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Loving you already. We have been talking for so long already.
Yeah. I think we actually should start the podcast a little bit earlier, right?
Pretty much. You're originally from Mexico and currently based here in Düsseldorf.
That's correct.
I would love, you're a rollout manager. And before I have you actually explain what that is and what are the different tasks and the things you need to know for it, I love to get to know you better.
Perfect.
So go ahead and talk about, a bit where you come from and your background story, how you ended up here.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you, by the way, for the spot here. Yeah, like you said, I'm originally from Mexico. I come from Mexico City. Great place to be, by the way. The story with coming here to Germany is actually quite curious. I did an exchange year. I think I've already told you about this, but I did an exchange year in Cologne. And during this year, I met a really good friend. He's still, of course, my friend and stuff. We have close contact with each other. And he told me about this trainee program with the Telecom. And he told me, hey, they're actually looking for international people, different mindsets, You should apply for it. At the beginning, I did actually take this very, very seriously. I was like, yeah, I will. I mean, I already had a job. I was doing pretty decent, considering the Mexican standard. And he told me, yeah, just apply. I mean, you won't lose anything. I was like, yeah, he's right. I won't lose anything. I will apply. I sent my documents until I actually received an invitation to come here to Germany to actually do the last filter for this application process. Great experience. I was really nervous, to be honest. And I came, actually made it. They told me, hey, that's why I'm here at the end of the day. You made it into the Telecom.
Bro, you nailed it, bro.
Yeah.
You're way too good for this.
I didn't get that type of congratulations. I wish I did. But then they told me, hey, congratulations, you made it into the Telecom. We were happy to have you. And that's actually that was the moment where I actually thought, okay, now I'm moving to Germany. My life just changed because I'm actually gonna travel halfway across the globe to actually move to another country. And I started as a trainee, and what I'm doing, what you just said, I'm a rollout manager. Of course, rollout manager is a little, it doesn't say much if you just listen rollout manager, what exactly you do.
Yeah, it doesn't give you a clue.
Exactly. So I work at a department that's in charge of building the entire infrastructure for Germany, the 5G network and stuff.
Okay.
And rollout manager basically means I'm kind of like a project manager. So I'm basically the guy in the department has let's say an overview of what everything that's going on. So and I'm the guy in charge of making sure that everything gets made according to the rules. Let's say according to telecom rules. So that's basically what rollout manager means. I'm a project manager, and I'm the guy in charge of making sure that every step of the way the project is carried out as it's supposed to be.
Oh, okay, nice. It's within the budget, and within the timeline.
Exactly. That's perfect. I mean, the timeline, the budget, the for example, the appointments that we've made. For example, we say this is going to be ready, I don't know, for November. Yeah. So I'm the guy that has to make sure that's done by November. So it's a very interesting thing because, I mean, 5G on its own is a very interesting topic. I mean, we can have an extra podcast about it. It's a really, really nice topic. But a lot of people actually don't know about it. A lot of people actually don't really know what 5G is.
Yeah, I probably include myself in there.
Yeah. And maybe just a quick introduction to it.
Please.
5G actually means it's not it's fifth generation. So there's really 5 generations of networks. For example, what people know as 4LTE, it's a specific type of network and it's a specific characteristics. 3G is something different. 2G is something different. And there are actually many networks are still used today. For example, for radio signals, people still use 3G. And 5G is supposed to be the fastest one. That's the whole innovative thing in 5G.
It's super fast.
Exactly. So, for example, you get this connection where you can pretty much download a movie in 2 minutes, which of course was unthinkable a couple of years ago. So that's the whole thing about 5G. It's this modern thing. The problem is that 4G works so well. I mean, for example, think about your daily life. You having this podcast, uploading it to Instagram, a couple of pictures, you don't really need any more speed, For example, if someone tells you, hey, I can offer you, I don't know, 1,000 megabits per second.
Yeah.
You would say like, yeah, I mean, nice. That sounds great, but do I need it?
Yeah.
And that's the thing with 5G. That's the interesting part about it. Like, like to actually find the use cases for it. It's the entire topic nowadays. That's what I actually do. For example, there's a lot of people that say, you can bring me this like fiber network to my home. Do I really need it? That's the question.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's a cool thing about it. You actually have to find what you can use it for. Of course, if we talk about, for example, like a huge company, I don't know, BMW, that says, I want to have like a local network. I have to have my systems all aligned. I have a factory where I build my cars. Yeah. For that kind of use cases, of course, you need the speed, because every second that you delay it, it's a second that where something could happen, you know?
Sure.
And that's pretty much what I do right nowadays. I make sure that the 5G network is there for our customers.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool topic because, I mean, like I said, I mean, no one really knows what to do with 5G. And of course, there's a lot of use cases, but you have to make sure that the customer understands what they're getting.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about it. Because a lot of people say, like you, for example, you say me like 5G, yeah, sounds really great, but what do I do with it?
Yeah.
That's the thing about it. You have to actually understand what 5G is and what you can actually do with it. So for example, typical use case, gaming.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of lag. You're playing. You
ping
notice
is
that,
high.
for example, yeah, exactly.
Like, oh shit. Those Koreans are gonna kill me.
Fucking Asians, they're all gonna beat me. But it's kind of the thing. For example, you notice that, for example, when you click a button in your controller or something, you notice a little bit of like differentiation between when you do it and when it actually happens in the game.
A delay.
That's actually the perfect use case for 5G, because in 5G, if you had like a 5G network, the moment you click it, it's the moment it's going to happen because it's so fast.
Yeah. And you can run at high graphics and all. Definitely.
So like gaming is like the perfect use case for 5G, because I mean, like the people that actually like professional gaming, you have to have like a fiber network. And if not, you're always going to get this delay. The game's not going to run as fluid as it actually should. So it's like I said, it's a very interesting topic because of that, because it's got a lot of like hidden aspects to it, you know? And that's what I do basically. Like Rollout Manager actually means I'm the project manager that has to make sure that every time we build something, it gets to the customer. So I'm gonna have this overview of the entire process. Of course, I learned a lot about like the technique and stuff. It's a really nice topic to involve yourself.
Yeah, the technology part of it.
Yeah. Very interesting.
It's funny how normally we come across with a problem and then we find the solution. But
definitely.
In a way, you guys come up with a solution with a problem we don't have yet.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
In some areas, sure, but not for the general public, right? Not for your phone or something like that.
What I actually find really interesting is that we're so used to technology, we don't actually appreciate it, like the amount of work that it takes to like build it. For example, I don't know, everyone's an iPhone or a smartphone, no? And the way that the smartphone is built, like everything that your smartphone actually can do, it's amazing.
All the software that's in there, all the coding.
Definitely. For example, you
just take it for granted.
Take cars, for example. No? Like very few people understand how cars actually work. And cars are like the peak of engineering. It's just a beautiful thing. Like it's great to actually analyze how a car actually works. Like the comfort you get, like you have like your Bluetooth audio in there.
Yeah, all the GPS, all the
you can fall asleep in the thing. And
yes,
it's great. It's great. I mean, it's a lot. It's like a huge technological advancement. And that's the thing. A lot of people are so used to technology, they don't actually notice how technology is made. They don't really notice how hard how many years it took actually to develop this concept and stuff. It's really interesting. I mean, I'm a huge fan of technology. I actually follow like a couple of technology social media pages and stuff. It's great. Like once you like start like diving into the topic,
once it hooks you up,
it's beautiful. Yeah, it's kind of like a drug. It's kind of like a drug.
Can't stop.
Yeah, 100%.
No, but yeah, it reminds me of another episode I had with a person called John. Can't come up with his surname right now. And he's a steering engineer.
Nice.
For automotive industry. And he told me like what he does and how much work goes into steering, just steering.
Yeah. It's
like,
it's unreal.
Holy shit.
It's unreal. There are so many things.
For example, right?
I actually was, I did like a foreign year in Karlsruhe. I think I actually told you about this. I'm not sure. Anyway,
maybe
when I was there, I actually joined the the university's team they had like a competitive team for a race. A race that's one I see in Germany, and a lot of universities takes part in it. So you actually have to build a car and you race with your car. It's kind of like Formula One. And I was actually, when I took part in this project, I was actually in charge of turning on the car. And there was so much science behind it. Like, I actually thought it was like, I probably got like the thing that no one wants to do. Yeah. And I'm like turning on the car, like, oh, come on, please.
Like the guy who plays the triangle in the band.
Yeah, exactly. like in a play, like I'm dressed up as a tree, like so something like that.
Exactly that.
But man, there was so much science behind it. Like every single second that you take into turning on the car, you don't appreciate until you're actually there, until you actually see like the impact it has on everything.
Yeah.
So for example, like I'm going to give like a very obvious example. For example, you go into the pits in Formula One.
Yeah.
You turn off the car because of course you're going to get like, for example, your oil replaced and stuff. The moment you turn the car back on, it plays such an important role because every second that it takes to turn on, and of course it doesn't take seconds, but every millisecond, because actually it comes down to milliseconds, everything counts. And you form part of like this bigger purpose, like win the race. Win the race means you have good tires, you have great technology, you have you can turn on the car really fast.
Yes.
And that's what I learned. I mean, every single detail of everything that you do matters. It was a great experience. I mean, I actually I could actually like go on for hours about this. It was a great experience because I actually noticed, man, turning on a car at the beginning, I was like, oh man, what a shitty task that I got. I just want to go home. And actually, after I got a little involved with it, I saw like all the technology was behind it. It was great. It was great. It was such a great experience, man. Like, the technology behind it is just amazing. It's just amazing.
I mean, it kind of probably like opens your eyes a bit to appreciate the little things.
100%.
Right.
That's why, for example, when we talk about the vaccine right now, like the corona vaccine, I actually read like the way it's supposed to work. And it's just magnificent. Like I literally think that the vaccine is a work of art because the way it works, the way it was thought to meant, the way it was meant to work, it's so intelligent,
Yeah, how they came up with that shit.
And when I hear people saying like, I'm not gonna get vaccinated, like why? It's so something really complicated, dangerous. I'm like, man, you have no idea. Like you read a little how it works. It's just amazing. It's just amazing the way they came up with this intelligent solution to actually avoid something coming to your body.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. I mean, like I said, I'm a huge fan of science, technology, everything is just so great. It's like, well, once you actually like dive into the topic, you actually realize you learn how to understand the world in an indirect manner. You know what I mean? Like, for example, you see things and you see them differently. For example, you see like this window and something really as simple as a window has so much thought behind it. Like, for example, to get it straight, to get it upwards, the material that are used, everything is thought.
Yeah.
It's like nothing is done by coincidence, for example. No? When you look into a car, when you look into a train, the type of glass that they use, the type of materials they use, everything has a reason to be. That's the beauty of science. That everything is planned, you know what I mean? And that's just great. Like, I mean, once you involve yourself with that kind of topics, I mean, I personally have a huge disbeliever, I would call myself, like I don't believe in, for example, in religion, or I'm not a person that's that kind of, I'm not like spiritual in any way.
In a sense of believing in something without foundation.
Exactly. I mean, I don't want to get into like this complicated topic, but that's just the way I am. I mean, I involved myself way too much with science. I studied an engineering degree. So I've kind of like learned to think in like this rational way. So everything has to have a reason.
Yeah.
Even though you don't know what the reason is, you still can, you have to like work into understanding this reason. And that's just... It's just the way I've been educating myself since, I don't know, like 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And once you like start understanding, for example, something as simple as turning the lights on, there's so much science behind it. You have to understand the voltage, you understand current, you have to understand
so it doesn't fucking explode.
Exactly, the power, everything. Like nothing's done by coincidence. Everything is thought through.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, at least for me, everything has to have a reason. Maybe I'm a little bit too squared, I gotta say. I'm not like a spiritual guy that would say, like, for example, there's energy flowing around. No, I have to understand the cause for everything.
Okay. I mean, we all live in our own boxes, right?
Definitely. I mean, science is also many times wrong. Don't understand me wrong. I mean, you
That's
can also
a very important part of it.
exactly. That's also part of the beauty of it. Like you can actually get it wrong.
Yeah.
For example, I don't know how deep you are into physics, but you probably heard about the 3 laws of physics, and right from Newton.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the inertia.
I was like something very specific. You went like for the like basic shit.
For example, in science, you don't call them laws until you pretty much proved that they apply to in every case. So for example, the laws of physics, they're called laws because they pretty much apply to every single case you want to apply them to. It was not until recently that people actually discovered that when you get into a atomic level, so for example, electrons, neutrons, that the laws of Newton's do not apply. They have different characteristics in movement. Yeah. It took, for example, 100 years. The laws of Newton have been around for, I don't know, 500 years or something. And it's until a recent discovery that they actually found out they're not laws because they do not apply to everything.
Well, they're not universal.
Exactly.
They are applied to mechanics, classical mechanics.
Exactly. So if you want to talk about cars, you want to talk about trains, you want to talk about trees, whatever you want to talk about, like into an average level, they apply to every single thing you do. But once you get into like more complicated topics, like for example, the atomic level, they do not apply anymore. And that's what I find so beautiful from science, that you get this freedom of being wrong. I sometimes get the feeling that when people think, I believe in something, that they like close themselves because they believe in it, it has to be always right. It has to be always that way.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is so beautiful in science, because science gives you this opportunity to say, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Or I actually discovered something where what I used to believe is not true.
Yeah.
It
keeps testing itself.
Exactly.
It's
iterative. So it keeps going on. It keeps testing itself. It keeps trying new things. That's what I find so beautiful in science.
Yeah. It accepts that being wrong is actually something good.
Definitely.
Which oftentimes outside of that, you don't see that often.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course, sometimes they're just topics that you have to like involve yourself with. Because, for example, unless you're actively talking about microparticles or atoms or something, there's no way you would have found out that the laws of Newton don't apply in that level. I mean, you have to get involved with it. And it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of studies. It's very difficult. But at the end of the day, you get the satisfaction because you find out new things.
So hell yeah.
Exactly. It's like, like this typical eureka.
Yeah. Clearly. I mean, just to finish that off, from that came what's called quantum mechanics.
Definitely.
So it's a new whole branch.
Yeah. And it's very complicated. I don't understand.
No, I mean,
it's great. It's great.
Outside of classical mechanics,
we'll keep a distance from it. It's very complicated. No, thank you.
But not only when you go really small, but also when you go really fast. Like everything that approaches, the speed of light also
100%.
fucks with you. Yeah. Relative in the
100%
theory of how's it called in English?
The relativity theory. You mean?
Yeah.
So from Albert Einstein, you mean, right? The relativity theory.
Is it called like that? Okay.
It's an international topic, word. So this is Relativität, glaube ich, in
it's called relativity. I thought it was like
relatividad in Spanish.
La teoría de la relatividad.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's an international word. Don't worry.
I was like, gotta be different. So that goes into place. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
I want to get to. I saw a document recently about that actually.
That's the thing. Like, once you get into it, it's like we say, it's like a drug. Like you can't get enough of it because you want to like understand how everything works. And the thing about science is also there's a lot of people that are very good like communicating what they just found. So, for example, if you talk to a scientist, you're probably not going to understand half of what he says. He's going to tell you about whatever he found. You're going to be like, no idea what you just said, but it sounds good.
Yeah, bro, like whatever.
Exactly. You're going to be like, interesting, but I have no clue what you said. But for example, once you see, for example, a documentary or you hear someone that actually knows how to explain it, it's just so beautiful. It's like, for example, you hear the explanation and you think to yourself, it's unreal how someone did not think of it first or like earlier.
Yes.
It's just so logically thought. It's just so beautifully put into pieces that you actually think that's the only way it was supposed to be. Like there was no way we would have thought of something else. And that's the thing. Like once you actually analyze the way it was discovered, the way it works, you think like, hey, there's no other way this could actually possibly work.
Yeah,
like, oh, it's beautiful.
Once you hear it or you read it, it sounds so obvious to you.
Yeah, exactly.
But because you've been just told.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And once someone explains it to you, like in an appropriate manner, you're like, of course, man. Like there's no other way this could actually work. Like there's absolutely no way this could actually work in another manner. That's the way it was supposed to be. And that's what I personally think it's kind of like faith, like I believe in it because not only has it been proven, but because I see it works every day. For example, let's talk about electricity again. Every single time you turn your light bulb on, there's a lot of technology behind it, a lot of theory, a lot of years that it took. Yeah. People used to use candles in the old day, We can now pretty much get light every time we want to. And people, because you're so used to it, you kind of like lose the grip on how it actually works. Yeah. And that, I mean, maybe scraping a little bit the topic that we're here to talk about, that's creativity. Yeah. Like to find a way to explain things that you do not understand.
Clearly. And then you realize how you rely on it when you have like a power shutdown.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like,
all of a sudden you cannot charge your phone anymore. You cannot turn on the light. And you're like, whoa, what the hell's going on here?
Then you make the cupboard on. You have like one candle, like been sitting there for like 20 years. I'm like,
like a gift your mother gave you or something. I'm finally gonna use it. But yeah, definitely. And that's what I think is the beauty of it. Because I mean, I also think that technology and science takes a whole deal of creativity because you have to think of ways actually stuff works. Because I mean, the scientific method, you've probably heard of it. That's the way it works. You make an hypothesis. You pretty much think, okay, why is this working? And then you test it. And then either you prove yourself right or you prove yourself wrong. And that's the beauty of it. Creativity always goes into the scientific method because at the end of the day, you have to explain it. So you have to think of a way, like, for example, if I turn on the lights, how does it actually work? Yeah. And have to come up with an explanation for it. I'm going to do tests, like find out if my explanation was right or wrong. But that's the creativity, That's the creative part of the process because you say, okay, I think this works this way. Yeah. Either you prove so right or you prove so wrong. But you have to come up with that explanation, And that's what I love about science. That's the beauty of it. You do something and at the end of the day, you either prove it wrong or you prove it right.
Yeah. I mean, that inherent curiosity of being self-critical, right? And wanting to keep improving and being okay with being wrong. That is inherently creative. Yeah. Creative behavior.
Exactly.
Right. In one of its forms.
That's what I love about science because I mean, it always pushes you to be creative because you always have to explain something, For example, I don't know, an eclipse, like what does it happen? Why all of a sudden is the sky so dark in the middle of the day? Yeah. And you come with hypotheses, you test them and everything, and then you understand, you finally get to a solution. And there's a lot of questions that are unanswered. For example, the Big Bang. Now, everyone thinks that the Big Bang is actually the way the universe expanded. Well, they haven't actually proven it. That's why it's called the theory of the Big Bang, because you don't know if that actually is what happened. And that's what I think is so interesting because you always push yourself to like find out more. Yeah, like, you always want to understand. You always want to know what the thing is. And that's why, I mean, me personally, I do not believe in, like, for example, people that say, I don't know, horoscopes or religion and kind of stuff, because to me, that's a little bit unfundamented. I also understand the beauty of it because, I mean, to like believe in something is also beautiful because you actually like think that something's the way it's supposed to be just because it's supposed to be, Yeah. And sometimes it actually works. I mean, I've met a lot of people that say, I don't know, the universe has something bigger planned for me, and they actually do better for themselves nowadays. Like every time they made like a critical decisions, it turns out good for them. Like they actually achieved something else, or they actually did something else. But for me personally, it's a little bit hard to believe. That's why I told you I'm a non-believer. Like I'm like, sure, I have to understand why it has to be this way. I have to understand why it happens. Because if not, I'm gonna think it's like, nah, I'm not comfortable, like, not knowing what's behind it. You know what I mean?
I mean, you grew up in an environment that
pretty much pushed me to
that type of thing.
Exactly. I mean, the engineering faculty is always that. We always meet people that are like this. They're squared. Yeah. And because every time you talk about something that they do not understand, they're like, whoa, wait a minute. What's going on here? I have to understand. I have to know what's behind it. If not, I don't believe it, or I have to immediately reject it. with this, I do not mean that, for example, someone that believes in God or someone that believes in something is wrong. Maybe there is a higher power. Maybe there is something stuff. But once you get accustomed to like understanding everything that's behind it, it's kind of difficult to believe it, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's I don't know. It's just another approach to life. I mean, you probably heard about it a little bit when you interviewed this guy, John, I think you told me what's the name.
Yes.
So he kind of probably had like a very scientific approach to stuff, you know, like I can explain it. I understand why it happens. And when you talk, for example, with people that have a more like artistic background or more like philosophical background, they can open up their minds a little bit more, you know, because they do not necessarily have to correlate stuff with a cause. And that's the thing. I mean, it's just a matter of background at the end of the day, you know what I mean?
Yes. Well, what I do appreciate and celebrate is about your way of approaching, life, really, is about being, at the end, open-minded, really, to any new triggers and new problems. And just about taking all of that in and dealing with it in a very constructive way like that. Which is nowadays so important for jobs like the one you're doing. It's very methodical.
Yeah, definitely. Like my job is I actually think that my job is kind of like a bus killer because it's so methodical. Like you always have to follow a process. And sometimes I think that's like the boring thing you can do.
Well, in a way that kind of kills creativity again.
Yeah, definitely. Right. That's 100% it. Sometimes you get so used to like process and stuff that you can actually not think out of the box. You know, you can actually not picture yourself doing something different because you think that's the way I've been doing it so far.
Yes,
that's the only way it can be done.
Yeah,
and it's also very interesting because, for example, when I got the job. Well, one of the important aspects that my nowadays boss told me is we want to get some creativity into the room. You know, we want to get people here that can think out of the box, that can find new ways of doing stuff.
Yeah,
and it's actually been really challenging for me because the more you get used to the process, the more you think that's the way it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be like you cannot change anything because it works exactly. And It is kind of like a bus killer in that matter because the more you get used to this process, the more you get used to like the bureaucracy, to the way it's supposed to be, the more you think there's another way to do it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Of course, when you're new, you always like you look at something from a different perspective. You think, hey, we can do it in a completely different manner. You know, creativity plays a role in it.
Yeah.
The more you get used to it, and I've seen it happen. I mean, I have colleagues that are 50 years old. They've been in Telecom for like 30 years. And every time you tell them, hey, maybe we can do this, like maybe just propose, they're like, no way. I mean, this is the way we've done it so far. It's worked. It's just leave it that way.
Okay.
It's like, no, I mean, it can be better.
Yes.
It can always be better. You can always think of new ways of doing stuff.
Yes.
It can be worse, definitely, but you have to try it.
Yes.
And that's the thing about, like, for example, this like very like office jobs, you know, you get so used to the routine, you get so used to like a specific way of doing things. It kind of kills creativity.
Yeah, because you don't usually exercise it in your daily life.
Exactly.
It's like any skill. Creativity is another skill.
Definitely.
That you can master and improve upon.
I actually saw a documentary not too long ago. Not a documentary, it was actually, you know these TED Talks?
Yes.
You probably heard of them, right?
Of course.
A guy talked about creativity. And he actually said...
Do you remember?
Oh, I can't remember the name.
Is it?
Great talk. A blonde guy, pretty tall.
Was it this older guy with glasses on?
Yes.
I know exactly.
I can't remember the name.
It's like Sir something.
Yeah, I can't remember the name, but it was such a great talk. Yeah. Like after you hear this guy, you're like, man, I want to do something there. like fuck the system.
Yeah, because he talks about how education kills creativity.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He avoids the topic of education and how education actually kills creativity. And I thought it was beautiful. Like, I mean, everything he said, it was like, man, I've been living my life completely wrong. You know, it's like, oh man. Like, had I heard this a couple of years ago, it would have been a whole different story.
He makes you question yourself.
Exactly. And that's the thing.
And what you used to.
And he actually says that. I mean, like, to question yourself is pretty much invoking creativity because you actually say, okay, I've done this exact same manner.
Yeah.
What happens if I do it differently? What happens if I find a new way to do things? And that's the cool thing about it, that's the beauty of it. I mean, creativity is a main effect. At the end of the day, trying or reaching up for new ways of doing stuff, And that's the cool thing about it, because I sometimes get the feeling people always associate creativity with like art, Like, for example, I painted something no one has ever painted before. That's creativity. But you can actually find creativity pretty much every single day. For example, imagine that you always eat eggs for breakfast. And one day you say, hey, I want to change something in my life. And you have to be creative about it. You have to like generally propose something different in order to change your life. So you say, for example, I don't know, maybe I want to try yogurt with fruits today as breakfast. Maybe I want to try, I don't know, sausage. But whatever you want to do. But that's creativity playing a role in it. So sometimes I get the feeling that people always associate creativity with like building new stuff. Pretty much making something from original, scratch. Exactly. But being original has many faces. For example, I met a guy a couple of days ago. He works in my department. And I thought this guy was really intelligent, because he told me like, I think this department has a lot of good things, but it's also got a lot of bad things that people don't actually see. Like, I've only been 2 months in this job, and he told me stuff that I actually had not seen. Like I had overseen. I have had contact with this kind of aspect that this guy told me about, but I actually never noticed them. He told me, like, for example, we take like 30-minute breaks, but no one talks to each other. Like, everyone grabs a bite real quick. Yeah, no one talks. It's like, I would really enjoy it if, for example, we introduce some sort of like together lunch,
There's a common room.
Exactly. Like we all come together to have lunch. Yeah. And I was like, interesting. Like, I hadn't actually thought about it, but it's true. Like, every single time I grab lunch in my office, it's pretty much me on my own. I go to the city real quick, into the middle of Duisburg. I grab a bite, come back real quick, and keep working. Yeah. Like, I can actually interact with people, I mean, well, of course, with my colleagues, I ask them stuff. Yes. I'm new at the job.
But you're working.
Exactly. But you're working. Like, you don't actually take that time to like either get to know each other like properly. Yeah. Or maybe you can still talk about work, but you have this time to do, And that's like he pointed out a lot of stuff to me that I thought, oh, it's true. I mean,
it's an important aspect.
And very, very small stuff, like very, very, very small details of our everyday life.
Small changes.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sometimes a big impact. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
It's oftentimes when you're off work, not working, when you actually can switch off your brain for a second.
100%.
And have a little chit chat. Is when normally that's when great ideas sometimes come up. That's when normally you get to know your colleagues better, and you can actually have a stronger community.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a way of strengthening that.
You can actually see it this way. Think about, for example, your free side, your free time. For example,
my spare time, you mean?
Yeah, spare time, exactly. You probably always do the same. Probably you sit yourself down, watch series, or for example, in your case, I don't know if you involve yourself too much in, like, for example, podcasts and stuff. Maybe you do something in your free time with it. It's always pretty much the same.
Yeah, your habits, right?
Exactly. Like, you always focus on the exact same things. For example, like there's this volleyball group. I take it for granted nowadays. Like, hey, this volleyball group that we have.
Oh, the volleyball group.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, I can play volleyball, no problems. But it becomes like a routine, Yeah. It becomes the same every single time.
And then comes Carsten and destroys you. You're too weak, man. He's too weak.
He's a very like particular individual. He's a really cool dad. He's a really cool dude. I gotta say, like, he's a really nice guy. But he's weird. Like the first time you meet him, it's like, who the fuck are you? What the hell are you talking about? But like, once you get to know him a little bit deeper, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah,
he's a really, really
kind
nice
guy. Has some mean ass jump serves.
Actually, but it's really funny that you actually mentioned it. I actually had this exact same conversation a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
like about Carsten. It was like, hey, he's like a really weird dude. He's really nice.
I love and hate him at the same time. I don't know what to do. Sorry, I interrupted you. You were saying that habits like that.
Exactly, and sometimes even like creativity can play such an important role in small stuff. Like, for example, saying, "I want to try something new today."
Yeah,
like, I don't know, I I don't know, try singing lessons, for example. I've never done singing. So
no way.
I want to, I don't know, like play the ukulele or something, like you change a little bit what you're doing.
Yes.
So sometimes I actually believe that even the times where we are capable of being the most creative in our lives, we don't use them.
Yeah.
Because in our free time, we pretty much do the same, Actually, I can picture my day like perfectly. It's like I go to work, I do what I have to do in work. Then I go back home, turn on the TV, maybe watch a couple of series or an episode of something, then maybe play with, I don't know, Nintendo Switch, and it's always the same. And sometimes it takes that creativity thing or the complement to change something in your life, to say, okay, today I'm going to do something new that I've never tried before, or today I'm going to talk with someone that I haven't talked with in a really long time. And that's the cool thing about it, creativity it's always there. It's always there. We just don't really notice it anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Because I love it. I love that you touched on that, because routine, a routine it has obviously some benefits, right? Optimizes your time.
It's not completely wrong to have a routine.
Exactly.
100%.
Not saying it's a monster, but it's sadly the big enemy of creativity, because it makes you at some point it makes you lazy, and it makes you comfortable.
Definitely.
And creativity doesn't come out of being comfortable. Creativity always comes from discomfort.
100%.
Always.
Yep.
It's from where it eats from.
And I think it's also that's why it's so scary, because you like put yourself in situations that you're not used to.
Yes.
For example, something as simple as I don't know, I'm gonna talk in front of 50 people. A lot of people would piss their pants when they know, hey, I have to talk in front of 100 people. No way. Yes. No way. And that pushes you to find ways of solving problems, like, for example, you're going to say, okay, I have to do it. There's no way out of it. So I'm going to, I don't know, make a PowerPoint. I'm going to maybe play a song in the middle of the stage. I don't know. I mean, people find different ways of solving stuff. And that's the cool thing about it.
Yes.
But that's also the thing. Until you put yourself in this situation where you actually have to find a new way of doing things, then you can actually test your creativity. You can actually test like your creative part of yourself. Because other than that, you're just pretty much in the exact same process, and you get so used to it that you at some point you don't even notice anymore what you're doing. You're like, yeah. I work, I do stuff, I get home, watch a couple of series, I go to sleep, and repeat it all over again.
You get numbed.
Exactly.
You don't feel things anymore.
100%. And that's the cool thing about talking about creativity, is that you sometimes notice this kind of stuff, small stuff, that creativity can literally hide behind a habit that you didn't have to before, like just changing really small details of your life can lead to you changing your entire life. Dumb example. I know you go running every day at 6 o'clock in the morning. At first it's going to be like, oh, what a pain in the ass. But once you do it, once you get used to it, once you make it part of your routine, you change your life. You change your entire life. And that's the cool thing about creativity. You can make really small changes that eventually lead to a huge change. That's the cool thing. What I think it's creativity.
Yeah. And once you adopt a new habit, and you always take the same route. Okay, let's change the route now.
Definitely.
It's constant change that makes us so much stronger.
I read a book. I'm actually not done with it. It's called Enlightenment Now, and it's I can't remember the author. I'll send you the details of this book.
Enlightenment Now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really good book. And part of the book is actually that like being able to recognize that small things can actually change your life in a huge manner. It talks a lot about, for example, progress and about technological development and stuff. Yes. Really nice book. I'll send you the details later on.
Please.
But the cool thing about, for example, it talks about progress, and it tells you the thing about progress is you don't actually notice it. It just happens. And it has a lot. It doesn't mention creativity on its own, like the word per se, but it does talk about, for example, new ways of approaching things, because that's at the end of what's going to change things. You say, I don't know, I'm not going to drink out of a cup today. I'm going to drink out of my hands, and it's a stupid example, but it may change a lot of stuff at the end of the day. For example, just the fact of, for example, waking up an hour earlier, an hour later. It changes the entire dynamic of what your day actually is. So it is also kind of hard because I mean, creativity is also a thing it's around every single day, you know, and to actually say that something's creative is also kind of hard because I mean, there's some things, for example, you say, I'm going to try a new diet. What's the first thing you do? You go on the internet or you go to your nutritionist and you say, hey, I want to try a new diet. And he's probably going to give you something that's already been done before, you know? So is that really creativity? Mm-hmm. Is that a creative process? You know what I'm saying? Most of the things we normally try, most of the new things we want to try have already been done before.
Yes, but it still is because it's not 100%. About necessarily the result if it has been done before, but it's rather in that sense of actually trying.
That's exactly my point. That creativity does not have to be something out of the blue, something completely new. Because I mean, to actually think something that's never been done before, it's really difficult. I mean, you can spend your life and never think of something like that. But there's still a part of your creative process in the sense that you say, okay, I'm going to do something that I've never tried before. It's been done 1,000 times before, yes, but I'm going to try it for me. And that's part of the creative process, you know what I'm saying? That's part of saying, okay, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to change something in my life. And that, I think, is like the essence of creativity, you know what I'm saying? It's
a good clue to know if you should do that thing or not that your friend is proposing to you. If you're scared about it, do it. Yeah, that's a good sign that you should do it.
I've seen so many like motivation phrases that they say the exact same. Like, if it makes you comfortable, do it.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I mean, yes, they come in little cookies. Yeah. But they're true. The thing is, we hear them all the time.
It's years of knowledge.
We don't apply them.
100%. And I mean, I also understand. I mean, it is comfortable to have like a routine, you know, like to get used to a couple of a way of having things.
Yes,
100%. I mean, everyone needs, I think, like a little bit of definitely. But like to change things every once in a while, that's also very beautiful because then you get to explore yourself. For example, I want to do it. I've never done it before. I'm actually going to do it next week. It's going to be the first time I do it. I'm going to travel alone. I've never done that before. And it's something I've heard millions of times. Like, hey, once you go on your own to a place that you don't know, you discover yourself. You kind of explore aspects of yourself you didn't even knew you had. And that's cool, right? It's like getting to know yourself in another different level. Like, I'm right now in a country that I don't know anyone. What am I going to do? And it changes the whole situation. You know, I'm going to expose myself to a situation I'm not used to, but I'm also going to like force myself into doing something or find solutions to problems that I didn't know I had. And that's why I want to do it. You know, like I'm going to travel on my own, see what happens.
Yeah.
You know,
I love that you want to do that because so many people actually can't travel alone. Or they don't want to. They feel uncomfortable.
I've heard a lot of people that tell me that's like, not for me. I cannot do it.
Yeah,
I cannot spend too much time on my own.
Sometimes, you know, because they're female maybe. And okay.
Understandable, yeah, 100%.
But, you know, do small steps. Go to places higher. And come on, Germany, it's pretty safe.
Yeah. But I would say like Europe in general is like you can do pretty much whatever you want.
Yeah.
And even outside of Europe, like even if you go to, I don't know, to Latin America or Asia or anything, I mean, of course you gotta take care that you don't do like stupid shit or that you take care of yourself. But I mean, at the end of the day, the experience that you get out of it, like no amount of money can actually pay for that because you're gonna actually get to know yourself a little bit more.
Yes.
And that's a cool thing I found about traveling on your own. I mean, like I said, I've never done it. I'm going to try it for the first time in a couple of weeks. See how it goes. I mean,
I'm excited for you. Yeah.
Have you done it before?
Oh my Lord.
Really? Nice.
Yes, nice. I have. So it's actually funny because I did such a trip recently. I don't know, a week ago. No, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, you told me about this trip. I didn't know you actually did it on your own. Nice.
Yes, so I went from Düsseldorf to the Eifel, which is like a natural area,
like a forest, right? Yeah,
exactly. About 100 kilometers from here, and I still like I have traveled before alone, but it was different. Okay. Like my really first time I traveled alone was in Spain. like 2 years ago.
Yeah, beautiful country.
And it was like one of the first times I really had like a longer trip.
Mm-hmm.
And I backpacked and hitchhiked.
How long, may I ask?
For like a month.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Around Spain.
Okay.
Like I started in Granada and went like
all the way south.
Around the border.
Yeah, nice.
Ended up in Granada again.
Very nice.
And it was scary as fuck in the beginning. I swear to God, my mother almost didn't want to let me go.
Really?
She was like scared for me.
Don't do this.
She was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You want to be stabbed midway.
Yeah. I
understand. It's, I mean, for a parent, obviously, it's a very natural reaction
100%.
because it is dangerous.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I mean, a lot of things can go wrong at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, you can twist your ankle, you can fall on the ground. You're hitchhiking. It's literally you're hopping on the car with strangers.
100%. You never know who you're going to meet at the end of the day, right?
So there is an inherent risk to it, which is normal, really. Like, come on. I was about to give a really stupid example.
No way.
No.
I've given many. I've given many stupid examples, so no worries.
Like, no, don't say that. No, I just, something in me really shouted at me saying you need to do this.
Yeah. Because it also changes you, right? I mean, of course, the Lucas that let's say the Lucas that you were before you did the trip and the Lucas you were after is a completely different person. You learn so much stuff. Yes. You see so much stuff that otherwise you wouldn't see. I mean, even if it's just inside of a country, even if it's just going to the Eiffel, for example, I mean, just taking this step into like challenge yourself into this kind of situations changes everything.
Yes.
And that's the cool thing about it.
Yes, it changes everything, but it's also, I've thought about like what doesn't change exactly. And well, it
for example,
changes you physically.
For you, what was like the biggest change that you noticed after you did like this trip through Spain?
It made me less insecure.
Okay, nice.
It changed how brave I approached that.
Nice. Okay.
It gets rid of fears you have. You sometimes don't even know you had.
Well, what would you say was one of them? Like, for example,
fear was
strangers
being lonely.
Okay.
A fear was not really strangers, to be honest. Like that's not a fear I've come across with.
Okay.
Well, that's just me. But it was more of like a psychological fact of actually being alone, being okay with it, enjoying not being with someone.
Your time with yourself, pretty much.
And also kind of proving to myself that I'm capable of doing that. That I'm capable of, in a way, it's a bit exaggerated, but surviving by myself.
But you can do it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like a weekend, and I'm not dead yet. So,
yeah, but I think I think that's not like a small thing to learn. That's a huge thing because I mean that, like I said, I mean it influences at the end of the day. For example, you talked about getting rid of your insecurities. Maybe that's something that nowadays still impacts you. Maybe you can talk to a stranger right now without even thinking like, oh, is he gonna like me? Is he gonna think I'm boring or anything?
Yes.
Just do it.
That's another thing. I learned to care less.
Exactly.
So don't give a shit about all the people think about
That's very cool. That's very cool. I'm really happy that you did that, man. It must have been a great experience.
Like, literally the first time I went from Granada to Jaén, which is like the next province, with BlaBlaCar, so I cheated there.
I mean, it still counts.
Like, oh shit. And then I went from Jaén to Malaga. And there I took my first, I managed to get my first hitchhike move down. And
I've never hitchhiked, man.
Holy shit.
I've never done it.
It's so weird in the beginning.
Yeah.
And like, I felt so uncomfortable.
Okay.
Standing on the road,
very cool,
on the side, just doing this. I had my big backpack with the camp,
everything you need.
I had a camping thing and everything, because I was
so
wild
cool,
camping. Right?
So cool.
So I had my backpack on the ground. I had my little cardboard with Malaga written on it. Like, that's where I want to go. Pick me up.
Yeah.
I start there, and I was obviously I'm on a road that leads outside the city. You know, you have to be smart about that.
Yeah.
And then at some point you find a good place where cars can stop, and then you just wait.
So you like walked along the highway pretty much?
No, I don't walk. I stand really.
Okay.
Because
but I mean, until you got like to this point where cars could actually stop.
Oh yes, exactly.
Okay.
So I reach a point that's good. I point my finger out, and then I stand there, and you have to actively. I always look at the people. Like I look into the cars, like
please help me. Please help me.
You have to actively like seduce them. All right. Like act friendly, smile.
I'm a nice guy. Please help me.
I swear I don't come from prison right now. And what made me very uncomfortable in the beginning is like I kind of feel like shameful in a way. Like this is like unter meiner Würde.
Yeah.
As you say, like
underneath me.
Yeah. It's like, oh come on, like I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
And then it's like it scratches your ego.
Yeah, a little. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Right. And then people walk by and they look at you, and all those things bothered me for like a week. Like
until you get used to them at the end of the day, right?
Fuck, and I felt bad with myself. And then it worked a couple of times. Really great experience. Every person I helped on a car with was amazing. Great conversation. Really fun.
Very nice.
That's how it normally is. Obviously, sometimes you have someone that's not as funny, and it's fine. It's fine.
I mean, you're gonna get the best out of everything, right?
I think I would never sleep in that situation. Like I wouldn't hop in and like I'll take a nap.
You wake up like naked and look
wow, you gotta have some balls to do that.
I agree.
Yeah, no way. I'll stay like wake up. But apart from that, after a week, I really came to a point where I was like, oh wow. I stood there with, rather than shame, I stood with pride.
Very nice.
I started to develop that.
Yeah.
And I was so overwhelmed with that feeling. I was like, wow.
Would you say, sorry to interrupt you, but would you say there was some creativity involved in this like decision? Like, for example, would you say that for you was like a creative process?
Yes. Well, for me, the creative process was doing the step of putting myself in that situation. Of jumping over my own shadow. And not being controlled by my fear. I think
very nice. That's a great experience.
That was for me the creative process of that. And once you make the first step, which is often the hardest for anything, for a trip, for a business, for a podcast,
agree.
Anything. Once you start, it flows in a way, right? As you said before, it kind of just happens. And I'm thinking about an aspect about it, but
do tell.
No, yeah, but I think I've broadly touched it.
Okay.
How I wanted to. So it's really about making the move and getting there.
100%. Completely agree. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like just taking this decision, like to doing stuff, that's a completely different story, you know? Because I mean, I hear a lot of people that say they want to do stuff, you know? And most of the time they don't. Like, for example, I hear people saying, I want to get in shape. Or but I want to travel alone, or like they say a lot of stuff, and I agree. It's great ideas. It's a really cool stuff to like think of even, but they don't do it.
Yeah, they don't execute it.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like once you actually take that step, it really does put you in a situation where you think, wow, I did it. You know, like wow, I'm experiencing this right now. I'm like, for example, for you in your trip through Spain. Like hitchhiking, wow! Like I've seen it a million times in cartoons or in TV shows, whatever. But actually doing it, whole different story.
Nah, like if you want to and you don't do it, you start feeling an increased disappointment in yourself.
Yeah. 100%.
Which makes you unhappy.
Of course. Because you came with the idea, but didn't carry it out.
Yeah. And if you came up with it, it means that you want to.
Definitely.
You want to do it.
Yeah.
But there are this and this and this reason that are stopping you, and you let them stop you as well. And if there are real reasons, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, whatever
sometimes
reason counts.
You really can't do it.
Yeah, 100%.
If you can work on those reasons, once you achieve them, you can do it. So, as you said, for example, so many people give themselves the task to get in shape for a New Year's resolution.
Yeah. Typical.
Most people fail to do that because their goal and the time they give themselves to do it is unproportional. That's one. Like, they want to get in shape in a week or in a month. Like, what?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Bro? Yeah, they're like, after a month, they're like, I haven't noticed anything. It's like, yeah, of course you're not going to notice anything, man. Just be the month.
Are you like a blow-up doll? Come on. Jesus Christ. That's one. And then on the other side, it often lacks of discipline. And, and you have too many projects going on.
I also think that's something really important, not only like in the creative process, but by every decision you take, it has to be like genuine for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, for example, if you say, let's take the same example, I'm gonna get in shape. Like, if you do it for the wrong reasons, you're never gonna do it. For example, you say, I want to get in shape because I want other people to look at me. I mean, for some people it works. That's probably like a genuine reason. But like, for example, if it doesn't actually convince you, you're not even going to enjoy getting in shape. You know what I mean? Like, for example, if you say, I want to go on a trip to Spain because I've heard it's cool, you're not really convinced. Like, you don't actually want to do it.
Yeah.
You're not even going to learn anything. You're not even going to enjoy it. Exactly. It's just like doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And that's also, I think, something very important. Like, every time you make a decision, you have to be convinced of it. And not convinced in a matter that you say, I want to do it, but actually have a reason behind that. I want to do it because. Yeah. You know?
The reason why you do it changes how you do it.
It's definitely 100%. Yeah. If you do it for you're actually convinced that you want to do something, it's going to change the way you do it because you want to do it. And that's, I mean, it sounds kind of like really obvious when you say it this way, but a lot of people don't actually. It happens, for example, in relationships, that some people say like, yeah, I love my girlfriend and stuff, but they're in a place that they actually do not want to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They just want to have that social safety.
Exactly.
I'm like, hey, officially have a girlfriend.
Exactly.
So exactly.
Me. And that's the wrong, those are the wrong reasons, because at the end of the day, you're not going to enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're in a relationship that's not like fulfilling you.
Yes.
And you say, hey, I have to be in a relationship because I want to have a girlfriend, whatever. You're gonna be miserable there every single time you spend in this relationship because you don't want to do it at the end of the day, or you probably want to have a relationship but in a different way that you cannot actually have it with this person that you're with. You know, so like I also think that I would actually even say that the most important part of actually like changing things, of being creative, is the reason behind it. Because once you can be creative at every time, every second of your life, but if the reason doesn't actually convince you, the whole thing is in vain.
There's something very honest about being creative, about the creative process. That if it's not honest, it's sort of not being creative anymore.
I think so too. I think actually, like, if you're not, like you said, if you're not like honest with yourself, if you're not honest with the process or with the idea that you want to have, at the end of the day, it's not even creative anymore.
It's going to be different.
You're going to do the exact same thing that everyone's already done.
Yeah.
Just because you have to do it.
Yeah.
And you're not going to really put a part of yourself into it, you know?
Yeah.
So for example, if you want to draw something, if you say, hey, I want to draw something because I believe in it, or because I want to, I only want to do it for myself, whatever honest reason you have, it's okay. But if you want to draw something just because someone told you to draw something and you don't really believe in it, whatever you draw, it's not even going to inspire that, you know?
Yeah.
There's some stuff that actually, without even happening, you already believe in them, you know? Because they're transmitting you with passion. They're transmitting to you with this thing that you actually believe in them, that you get contagious with it.
Yeah.
That's why, for example, I really enjoy like watching TED Talks, because I mean, I genuinely think that the people that actually go there, they believe in what they say.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might not even agree. You might think they're talking bullshit, but the way they say it, it's just like, wow.
You feel it, right?
Wow, yeah.
Now they're completely 100% invested.
Exactly. It's like, whoa. But that's the magic in it. That's the cool thing about it. That these people have actually found a cause or a reason to talk about something that genuinely convinces them, that they genuinely believe in. And that changes everything.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're genuinely being creative for themselves, you know? And that's the cool thing about it.
You find so much value in those tech talks. Like, I watch one like every day.
It's unreal. It's unreal. After, I don't know if you have you come across this. There's a documentary series in Netflix. It's called Explained in English. I'm not sure if it's a different.
Oh yes,
from Vox.
From Vox, yes.
Man, every single
them.
episode I've seen convinces me. Like it's like they have done it so well.
They explain it very nicely.
Yeah, and even for example, topics that I have no interest in, I see the documentary and think, wow.
Yeah.
Out of a sudden, I'm interested. Out of a sudden, I want to know more. You know?
Yeah, the title's like, why do oil prices change so drastically all the time?
Yes.
Now I want to know.
Yes. Like I actually, I can remember a specific chapter of these documentaries. There was one that talked about cricket. I never in my life have played or seen cricket.
Okay.
Like I have absolutely no idea about cricket. I saw the documentary. Out of a sudden, I was the biggest fan of it.
Cricket's my shit now.
Yeah. It's like, I want to fucking play cricket right now.
Oh, nice.
But that was the thing. I mean, it was so well done. It was so like passionately transmitted that I actually think, wow, great stuff.
These platforms work for us, for our way of thinking, because we're very open to new ideas.
100%.
We're very curious about the world. So we find there are a lot of material that, feeds that.
I find this very interesting. What would you say, for example, is like the biggest lesson you've acquired from like not interviewing, but like doing this podcast thing? Like, for example, what's for you been like the most valuable thing about this whole thing?
Can we move that? And like, I asked you something before.
Sure.
I want to go there.
Definitely. 100%.
Like, do you mind asking me that later again?
No worries. No worries.
I just in my mind, I wanted to finish this off. Going back to you, because you said you were going to have this trip next week.
Yeah.
And we agreed. The reason why we do it is very important. I want to know yours.
To be honest, I'm not really sure what to expect. I mean, I want to do it exactly because of that, because I'm uncertain how I am when I'm completely alone. I mean, I've always been on vacation with at least one person. And I'm a person that I believe like adapts really quickly. So for example, if you tell me, let's go on a trip tomorrow, and you like, I don't know, paddling, or you like surfing, even if I don't like that, I'm going to have absolutely no problem with doing it. Like I'm going to be like, yeah, let's surf. I mean, I'm not a big fan, but we can do it. No problem.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I want to see. Like what's Abelardo like when he's alone, you know? That's exactly the reason why I want to do it, because like I
different or the same.
I genuinely do not know how I'm going to react. Like I have absolutely no idea what to expect from this trip, because I have never done it. I genuinely do not know what to expect. And that's the cool thing about it. That's exactly why I want to do it, because it's like, what would Abelardo be like when he's completely on his own? Yeah. Like when he has the liberty to take every single decision every single time. And that's the only reason why I want to do it.
Are you hiking, or what are you doing?
I'm just going to go to like a new place. I'm going to go to Faro. It's in Portugal, in the southern part of it.
Okay, you can explore a city, or? All right.
Like I said, I mean, I actually think like the trip on its own is not the important thing, but like the actual me being on my own.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to explore. Okay. Like, for example, spend a couple of days where I get to choose what I do.
Yes.
How would Abelardo react? That's like the question. Like, well, what would I do if in that situation? That's why I want to do it.
I like that. It's it's the first step.
Mm.
See, after that, you'll be so smarter and know where your next limits are.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Or next time you're like, oh, okay, next time I'm gonna go alone.
That's what I hope is gonna happen. That's what I hope is gonna happen. I actually generally like know myself a little bit better. I don't know.
How long? For like a week?
No, it's just a couple of days. It should go for the weekend.
So, just a tip of my experience is the longer you're away, the better.
Okay.
The more you change. And because I did that month back in the day, that was a good time. A good amount of time. I did 2 weeks ago, 5 days. I walked for 5 days. Very different trip.
Okay.
Because I only walked and I camped like wherever.
Yeah. Really nice, man. This was a great experience.
It fucks you up when you sleep outside and it starts raining. It's like,
I can imagine.
I don't want to be here.
Like you probably want to cry in that moment, right? Fuck, what did I do?
Everything hurts. It's raining. You hear a fucking weasel walking around. I was like, probably a wolf. Right? Like,
yeah.
You don't have to get that far out of your comfort zone. Okay, it's like pretty intense.
I took it too far.
But it always gets more intense. I've seen a video recently about a couple sleeping in a levitating tent. What is that?
Wow. Okay.
That is
crazy.
A tent which has only a floor and it hangs on a cliff. So you're like, it's hard to explain.
Like suspended, basically.
Yes,
right?
you have a piece of cloth.
Yeah.
Really.
And that's all that's keeping you from dying, basically.
Yes, that's the area you have. It's attached to the wall, like 90-degree wall with strings. And you just hang there with your shit. And you sleep there. I saw that, I was like, nah.
You don't have to do that.
I don't have to do that. Too much.
No, I agree. That's a whole new level of stuff.
It's like, nah.
I mean, you can be creative, but do not exaggerate.
Exactly. I don't know. I just wanted to give you that on your way. That the longer you're away.
No, 100%. I actually, like this is going to be, let's say, like my first experiment. I actually had planned before the whole Corona situation. It's of course, because of Corona, it's been like postponed. I had actually planned to take like a month of vacations and go down, like Southeast Asia or something. I mean, somewhere I've never been, just to, like, explore.
Yeah.
And I really want to do it, man. Yeah. Like, I mean, this is going to be like the first experiment, like my first, let's say, contact with me being alone. But I would really appreciate it, like to be like a longer time just with myself, like just go somewhere where I'd have absolutely no idea what to do, where to go and stuff, and just see what happens and see how I enjoy myself, what I do,
Yeah.
I definitely will do it at some point. It's just, of course, because of Corona right now, it's a little complicated, but I will do it. I mean, it's definitely something that's like in my bucket list to do.
What I just noticed there is often when we travel, we try to go far. And so there are a lot of triggers that keep us entertained.
Okay.
Like, let's go to a different country, different language, different culture.
Yep.
A lot of things that like are different to what you're used to, so that keeps you entertained. Something I found very strong is actually traveling to some, like, right next door.
Okay.
There's nothing new, just being outside a lot.
It probably changed the perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like something that you did not used to pay attention to, you all of a sudden just notice. I think. I mean, I don't know. I've actually never done it.
You start noticing details and you're bored quicker.
Okay.
And because you're bored quicker, you
want to do
focus
stuff,
on yourself
right?
faster.
Okay.
when there's so many triggers outside, you're not
You're like
spending
distracted
as
from that
time
part,
with yourself.
right? Okay.
So
That's a good point. I actually had not thought about it.
it's very different. A very different experience going to a village next by where
It probably was your case when you went to the Eiffel,
Yeah,
right?
that's why I did it
pretty
like
much
that.
just went next door. You could have gone with a train or anything. You just decided to like walk there.
Yeah.
And it's just like here around the corner.
Most of the time I was walking through fields.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Like, yes, I had the stimulus of nature and a lot of cars, but yeah, and obviously you want to have fun.
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of not be too distracted.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, like genuinely focus on yourself,
Yeah,
right?
I wanted to be calm.
Yeah.
Do my thing.
Yeah, nice. Which I also think is like a very valuable experience at the end of the day, right? You probably learned also from that experience, like you saw how you generally are.
In a way, that's a different topic, like who you really are.
Yeah, 100%.
There's not a true you that you're just discovering.
You think?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think there's a fixed you.
Would you say, for example, that depending on the situation, you like adapt, like you change?
You change.
Okay.
Your persona is constantly evolving.
Okay. So you want to say there's like, for example, like fundaments that pretty much make you. I mean, now fundaments kind of like the wrong word. Like let's say, like for example, like a base for yourself. Like
there might be a base.
Okay.
But everything is moldable and up to change.
Even the base on its own, would you say? Okay.
Everything that's not, physically or...
Yeah. No, I'm generally just talking about, like, for example, just you as a...
About personality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I think it's completely workable, everything.
Okay.
And who I am today, it's not who I was yesterday. And I'm not what I say, I am what I do. Okay? So, and that's why, for example, shit like happened with Kevin Hart. You know what happened with him? You know Kevin Hart?
No idea who he is.
Kevin Hart is like a very famous comedian.
Okay.
North American comedian.
Okay.
Black guy. And he got like, he was supposed to host the Oscars. I think last year or 2 years ago. Recently. And he then got a scandal on his back because of a tweet up like ages ago.
A long time ago, yeah, okay.
All right, about at least 5 to 10 years ago. It was one tweet and it was like a joke about, I don't even know, about gay people or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
And the media made it a scandal, or like, oh, he's homophobic, or I'm not sure what exactly the issue was,
but I can already imagine like what it went through. Okay,
they blamed him to be against a certain community.
Okay,
of people, and the scandal was so big that he got that he lost that
the opportunity to host the Oscars.
Yes.
Okay.
He got the choice to either apologize for his joke or to not do the presentation for the Oscars, to host it. He didn't apologize. He did not host, and someone else did. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, someone must have done it.
Yeah. And what I want to say with this, for this case, is that they accuse you now of being someone based on something you did a long, long time ago, which is completely nonsense.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we constantly evolve. And that was taken out of context. Both of those things.
I actually have another example of it. There was, you know the latest song from Justin Bieber. I think it's called "Lonely." I mean, it's not the latest, but it's a song.
It's like the latest, like the one where they shake their booty.
No.
there's a trend right now, and they always dance like shaking the booty.
I know what you mean.
I know it's called.
No, but it's a song from Justin Bieber. It's called "Lonely," and Justin Bieber was, an asshole. He was a little younger kid. I always hated him. The guy, to be honest. He once did something in Argentina, which I still cannot understand how he even came to the idea of doing it. Mm-hmm. He grabbed the flag was in the middle of a concert in Argentina. He grabbed the Argentinian flag. He wrapped it around the microphone, the base of the microphone, and he used it as if he was to wipe the floor with it. Oh, and the Argentinian, they're really, really proud of the country. No, crazy. It's just patriotic as fuck. Yeah. Of course, he was banned from the country. Oh. Everyone hates him over there because of what he did. And I find it really interesting because the song actually talks about. He feels he's lonely because everyone still judges him from stuff he did in the past. He was an asshole. I do believe that whatever comes to him, he deserves it because he pretty much earned it. But it kind of scratches the same topic because I do believe that, for example, even though you might have a base, I actually do believe that there's for example, some stuff that makes us, for example, those things that don't change. For example, I think if you are very attached to something, or if you for example, hugging, you're always going to like it, even though you might not do it anymore, but you're still going to like it, So the little basic principles that make you. Yes. But at the end of the day, like you said, the things that pretty much evolve, change. Mm-hmm. I don't know, maybe before you wouldn't be able to be quiet and listen to someone, and now you can. Mm-hmm. And I think the interest part of this song is that he actually pretty much throws it out. He says, okay, I feel lonely because pretty much people don't understand me now because they still judge me for things I did in the past. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the guy. I do like his music, to be honest, but he did a lot of stupid shit back in the day. Yeah. And but I do believe that, for example, maybe he has reached that part where he says, okay, I kind of thought about it, okay, I have to change, or I've changed already. I don't know. It only he knows at the end of the day. But I find it kind of like a dog to what you were talking about, for example, evolving and changing. And I do think that sometimes evolving doesn't necessarily mean to the better side. I do think, for example, we sometimes lose things that we used to cherish about ourselves. For example, in my personal case, I used to be a guy that was very perfectionist, I really loved to if I did something, it had to be perfect earlier. Nowadays, if I do something and I know I don't have the time or whatever, it's okay, that's the best I can do with it. I kind of miss that, it's like an aspect I think I kind of lost about myself that I used to really cherish, because thanks to that, I don't know, maybe things were always really good, or whatever reason there might be. But I do agree with this perspective of people, changing, evolving, either in a good or a negative manner. You always change. Yes. Depending where you are, depending what you do, depending what the situations you're exposed to. It is always interesting to talk about that, because you, even at on a personal level, you can actually notice, what you said. The Lucas from before Spain is a completely different Lucas from what you are at nowadays,
Yeah. But it's true. Obviously what you do has an impact.
100%, yeah.
So it's oftentimes really hard to say, okay, where is the middle point? Where's the balance between how you have learned from your errors and where you are now, compared to the things you've done in your past? How does those two things work together? Yeah. For the public.
Would you say, this is probably a very personal question, but would you say that you've evolved for the better? Are you happy in the way you've changed through time?
Yeah.
Cool.
Obviously, not all my decisions have been perfect. And looking back, I could say, I could have done this maybe in a different way, and that would have given me a better outcome now. But I believe all my decisions I do, go in my best interest. Right?
Nice. Okay.
And I believe I have. The thing is, with time, you learn how to make better decisions for yourself.
100% experience, right? At the end of the day, yeah.
And I tend to tell myself, because sometimes I forget, because I fall in that trap, but I tell myself every single time I can
that you're doing fine.
No, it's rather that I don't want to regret anything I've done in the past.
Oh, okay.
I don't regret. Sometimes I do.
Yeah, I mean, there was a reason probably for it, right? I mean, you did it in the moment you had to do it.
Sure. I mean, I can justify it for myself. But and sometimes when you feel down, you think of things in the past, but it can be anything from past relationships to
mistakes or whatever. Yeah.
Dumb moves, whatever. And rather than regretting it and saying, "Oh, I wish I didn't do that," I try to focus on I did it.
Like what you learned from
wrong,
it, right? Yeah.
And now I know how to do it.
Man, that's really cool. That's actually like a very like mature way of like seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, it works for me better.
I mean, we're still pretty young. I mean, to be honest, we probably haven't even reached like the half of our life. So far
24, so
yeah.
I hope not.
but that's the cool thing about it, you know, like after, like if you put it that way, like the fact that you can actually think about the past in that way, it says a lot. I mean, you can actually like reflect on what you've done, what you've lived, and I do agree that, for example, people should not live with regrets. I mean,
it's hard.
Everything
sometimes
you've done,
you've
done it from. Yeah, definitely. you've definitely. I mean,
I feel sorry.
I agree. I mean, I've also like I think of some experience in my life where I think I really fucked up that time.
Yeah.
But still, it's kind of like interesting to like see and to hear. Hey, I learned from that. You know, like that episode in my life actually made me who I am today.
Yeah.
And if you put like in an overall category, you're still happy about it. You know, you're like, hey, I'm glad that I am the way I am. You know.
Yes,
that's cool.
And then I asked myself a very important question. If I could go back and change what I did,
that's a game changer.
Would you do it?
That's a great question. Me personally, I don't think so, because I mean, at the end of the day, because of that, you've experienced X or Y. I don't know.
Yes.
But it still makes you who you are today.
Yeah.
You know, and without that, you would probably, I'm not saying better or worse, but you would be different.
Yeah.
And if you are happy with who you are right now, then there's no reason for you to change anything
exactly.
in the past.
If you're unhappy and you're miserable,
yeah, maybe.
Obviously, yes.
Maybe you should. Maybe you should. Yeah, 100%.
But if you grow from it and you're in a better place now, then your answer should be no.
100%. Like I do believe that, let's say, life on its own is like a very funny way of working, because you always get what you need. You know what I mean? Like, for example, if you're a very, I don't know, desperate person, you're always going to be put into situations where you have to be patient. If you're I don't know, like a very aggressive person, you're always going to be put in a situation where you have to choose either I'm aggressive or I choose like a peaceful way, you know? It's a funny way. I mean,
yes, life challenges you all the time.
Exactly. Like it challenges you. That's the word. It challenges you the entire time. Like depending on what you need or who you are, you're always going to find yourself in situations where you have to actually like prove to yourself who you really are.
Yeah.
Independently, whether it's the good or the bad or the bad decision, it's just, you know, the situation. It just like presents itself. It always happens. I don't know why. And it has happened to me before that I actually noticed, like, man, I think it's funny because now that I think of it, that situation happened, Club, to me because of the way I am. Because I had to learn something from it, or I had to do something.
Yeah.
Whether I did or not, it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But it happened to me because of the way I am, you know? And it is weird. It is weird. Like I do think that, for example, sometimes things work in a very curious manner, but it just happens. It just happens.
Yeah, that goes beyond me why that happens. Like I was like I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah, no, me either.
It just happens. And what I like is how I like to think about it is life challenges you in form of opportunities.
Yeah.
It gives you a situation.
Like the chance, right? Like the chance to do something or change something. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
It gives you the option, choose now. Next.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree.
What?
Even like right now, if I think like in a couple of episodes in my life, like actually I genuinely think like, man, that's just exactly what I needed at that moment. Like that's exactly what I actually needed. Like sometimes you think like, yeah, I need like someone to like slap me, just like to, realize a couple of stuff. And pretty much like life did it on its own.
Yes.
Like it just happens. You're just exposed to the situations where you think, damn, like this is exactly like my area of opportunity, so to call it.
Yeah.
Like this is exactly what I need to change. And like just like without planning or anything, it just happens. It just gives it to you like, hey, this is a situation, you decide.
Yeah. And the great thing is it's not a one choice and you're over a game.
Yeah.
You get so many opportunities.
Yeah, definitely.
Over and over.
It's like a video game without an end, right?
Yes,
it's like it keeps happening. It keeps
until
happening.
You die.
Yeah. I mean, it is one life, but a very long one.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. If you get presented with something you have to deal with because you struggle and you make, let's say, the wrong choice for yourself, because there's always a right and a wrong choice for yourself.
Definitely, yeah.
Which might be different for someone else, but for you, there's a right one and a wrong one.
Yeah.
And if you take the wrong one, life will hit you with the next opportunity with the same problem.
Yes,
until
100%,
you do it right.
100%. Like that's just the thing. Yeah. Man, you couldn't put it better in words. Like life is stubborn. Like life is just gonna keep you hitting. Like it's gonna keep hitting you with like situations where you either learn or you fuck up, and you learn in either way. You know, it's like that's just the way it works.
Either you learn or you can't keep moving.
Yeah, 100%.
It makes you, how you say it? Like it keeps you how you say, like gegen denselben Stein stoßen.
Yeah, like it hits you with the same rock.
Yeah, you're
I mean, I'm just translating, but I'm not sure if that's what you say.
You're bumping with the same rock over and over again until you move it away.
Yeah, and that's also quite funny because, for example, I think there is generally people that they just don't move over. They like somehow
they stay there forever.
Yeah, they like keep tripping with the same stone, and there is somehow. I mean, I'm not relating to anyone in particular, but it just happens. There's a lot of people that just don't learn from certain experiences, which I mean, it's valid as well because I mean, life just gives you the opportunity. You decide what to make out of it, but it's also kind of sad at the same way. You know, it's like, hey, man, I mean, you've already experienced this a couple of times. It's about time you like change something. You know.
Yes. And a very because we are talking very broad terms. Let's put an example to it. A very real example is bullying, for example.
Yeah.
In school, at some point, probably happened to most of us. Some guy challenges you. He challenges you, and either you man the fuck up, or he will keep fucking beating the shit out of you.
Yeah. Life. I mean, it has to be said. I mean, life can also be a bitch. I mean, it can also put you in a situation where you
a bitch.
You hate
all
it
the time.
100%. I mean, there always comes a situation where you're gonna be exposed. You're gonna be put like in a place where you do not want to be, but there's no other way around it. I mean, you either have to be there or not. I mean, it's just gonna happen. It's just gonna happen. Like what you said. I mean, bullying. I mean, you cannot control what other people do to you. So if someone just suddenly decides to pick on you, it's up to you to decide what to do about it. It's a situation at the end of the day, you know. It's like life is saying, okay, someone's trying to pick on you. What are you gonna do? And sometimes it's a bitch, you know. You can put like a guy that's like 2 meters tall, really strong.
You look at him and like, come on.
And you're like, fuck, man. Like, am I really gonna have to fight this guy? He's gonna kick the shit out of me. But I mean, the day you do it, the day you actually like stand up to him, it's gonna change your life.
Yeah.
And for the better, I think, because at the end of the day, whether you get your teeth kicked in or not, it's gonna prove or it's gonna show you I can do something for myself. You know, like there's always like a lesson behind whatever life puts in front of you. And that's the cool thing. That's the interesting part about it, because it's always a situation we can actually learn from it. Yeah. It's like a never-ending school.
Yes, the school of life, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I'd rather get slapped in the face standing up than, you know, being a coward and not being touched.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
not being humiliated. No way.
I mean, those type of things, whether it was a bully, whether it was a trip in Spain, or there was whatever it was, they always present themselves and they keep forging you.
Yeah.
That's why we are the way we are right now.
Yes.
I mean, you can think, of course, like 1,000 situations where you were uncomfortable, where you didn't feel yourself okay. But those situations are the ones at the end of the day, they change you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
like for example, in my personal case, when the first time I was here in Germany, that I did the exchange here in Cologne, that was a great experience. I mean, it had a lot of bad, it had a lot of good.
Yeah.
But I would never change anything for it, because at the end of the day, this experience forced me in such a way that I am who I am right now. And that's a cool thing about it. You know, like, of course, I made some really bad decisions. I made some really good ones. But at the end of the day, whether it was bad or good, it led me to where I am right now.
Yeah.
And I'm happy right now with who I am, you know? That's a whole cool thing about it. If I told you I am miserable, then I probably would say, man, fucking year in Cologne.
Fuck that,
yeah. But it's thank God not the case. Like I'm actually happy with who I am right now. I'm happy to be here in Düsseldorf, happy to be here, to be Abelardo that's today.
Yeah.
And I think a great deal of who I am had to do with this year, because it exposed me to a situation that I was not used to, you know? And I think everyone in their life has something like that, whether it was good or bad, but everyone has this opportunity to, like, you know, take decisions. That's the thing, you know, like to make a call.
If you wouldn't have made the decision back in the day, how we met, if you wouldn't have made the decision to go to that lake, we wouldn't have met.
True.
We wouldn't be sitting here.
True.
Right? 100%. It's just like little decisions. And maybe that day you felt like, I don't want to go out. But yeah, a lot of friends going there, and it was like either I go and I, get my shit together, or I stay here.
Exactly. How often does it happen that you say, "Well, I really don't want to do something," but you do it anyways, and afterwards you're so grateful for it. Like, man, thank you that I did this.
Yes,
thank you, because it happened to me. For example, the first time that I was in Paradisstrand.
Which is a beach here.
Yeah. Sorry. For those who don't live in Düsseldorf, it's a beach here in Düsseldorf.
Wow, who doesn't know that? Come on, bro.
Get your facts straight. But exactly, that, like the first time I was there, I actually can still remember I didn't want to go. I was really tired. I was like, nah, man, not now. Why volleyball? And then when I was like, man, thank God I did it. I met a lot of people. I met people that still, I don't regularly hang out with them, but still like people that I can see and I say like, hey, how you doing, man?
Fuck, I remember which time you mean.
Yeah.
It was the one, after the party.
It was actually shortly after I think they did. Yeah,
okay.
Shortly afterwards.
Yeah, okay.
That was the first time I was in Paradisstrand. I was really grateful. Like, I think I was hangover. I was really tired. Yeah. Man, it was just, one of those days we just want to stay in. It's like, oh, fuck this. I don't want to go. And I went. And man, you're really thankful that I did, because a lot of people, I think that was actually a time that I met Mo. I met, I think Lisa or Luisa. Lisa, I also met her at that time. Like, I just met a lot of people that I can nowadays say, okay, I know who there is. I can say hello. Yeah. Really nice people. And it was cool, of course. I had already heard so much about Paradisstrand. Everyone had already told me, like, it's the best fucking place in the world. I was like, pretty much.
It's the place to be. Come on.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like, even those like really small decisions can change everything for you. They're generally game changers, and
they not always are, but
they can also be for the worst. For example, stupid example. For example, you may say, I want to start smoking today. You can smoke your life out if you want. Whether it's good or bad, debatable,
Yeah. It's like, my new year's resolution.
Yeah, I want to fucking smoke. I want to destroy my lungs.
It's going to be an easy one.
We always make decisions at the end of the day, and whether they're good or bad, they have a huge impact in your life. People sometimes don't notice it, but they do. Every single thing, every single step you take changes the way you're going to develop in every single aspect. And that's magic about life, It's like, hey, everything I do is going to influence my later self.
Definitely.
That's cool.
I really appreciate how easy and comfortable it is, and how naturally we have went into this big topic of self-improvement and life philosophy and creativity.
Hey, that's why I'm here.
Holy shit. Like literally, once the idea started to build up in my mind about having you on the podcast, actually Miri pointed out to me.
Okay.
She was like, Abe could be a great fit. I was like, yes, you're right. I didn't even think about that before.
I mean, I don't like to brag, but the fucking best invitation.
Just the best guest ever.
Just messing with me.
No, but the flow makes a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes a big deal.
There has to be chemistry. I mean, I don't know if it's ever happened to you. It's happened to me not in podcasts, but for example, when you go on a date, for example, that you just don't find the way.
Yeah.
I mean, you can talk about whatever you want, but you just don't find the chemistry, the spark to keep things going.
You can feel it's not.
Exactly. I mean, I can imagine that doing podcasts is a little bit the same,
Similar.
You have to find the spark with the person. If not, it's going to be a little comfortable, having to push the conversation.
Yes. It's different, but in many ways very similar.
Yeah. I mean, in principle, having to find this place where you're comfortable with each other talking and stuff.
Yes. I mean, there's a natural back and forth here, for example.
Yeah.
You oftentimes don't have that. Most of the times, one person gives more than he or she receives.
100%.
I'm a more passive person. But when both are on a very similar level of energy and also an interest in the conversation.
100%, yeah. There's nothing better.
It's like having the best sex of your life, man.
I mean, we're not gonna have it, but for the guests out there, nothing's gonna happen today. You were hoping. That's sorry to break your hopes.
Okay, we're done here. Let's wrap the shit up, man. Go on.
No, but definitely, I agree. There has to be some sort of flow. This is a very weird word to use, but there has to be some sort of back and forth. Yeah, kind of like a ping pong. You give, you take. And sometimes when you don't receive the ball, it's kind of weird. It's kind of
you play with the air.
Yeah, you're just moving around. I mean, I don't know if it's happened to you. I mean, I would expect not, because you made a lot of episodes.
Of course, it has happened to me.
Okay,
a bad conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, in the middle of a podcast. I mean, I don't know. I hope it hasn't. From what I've seen I've actually heard a couple of episodes from what you've posted, and I've always had the impression that it's pretty free flowing conversation. It's you don't really have to push it. So this awkward silence with and how's the weather?
It's 12 o'clock.
It's not free to go. From what I've heard, I don't think it's actually happened to you in the middle of a podcast that you've had this very awkward moment, this really awkward conversation where you just
not really.
You just don't find the chemistry. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's gonna happen at some point.
Okay,
it's inevitable.
Okay. Inevitable. Oh, I spoke that beautifully. Yeah, inevitable.
So well. I can't even say it.
Abelardo Shakespeare here on the studio.
No, but it will happen sooner or later.
It may, yeah.
Here and there, it's also only natural that at some point there in a conversation, it's like a wave.
Mm-hmm.
There are points where the energy is very high and
breaks,
it's
right?
fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes okay, we have talked about this topic now and it's pretty much covered, and now we should move on to something else.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can't really avoid that. And the best you can do is ride the wave the best you can and then do a smooth transition.
Yeah.
So what has happened to me is that at some point, what rather occurs is that I don't get such a all-around answer or from my question, for example.
Okay.
So I don't know, ask you about your job and you say, oh yeah, I work at Telecom and I'm a rollout manager.
And that's it.
And I manage, my team, and that's about it. And then I fucking stop talking and it's your turn now.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, like tell me more, right? Like, hey, come.
Exactly. Like there doesn't come a lot of info you can build on.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I ask you very general questions and I pick from your speech valuable information to us.
Of course.
I use that to ask you more. But if I don't get so much input,
it's difficult.
I can't rely on that.
Yeah.
So we're not working together. I'm just trying. I'm like,
you're like pushing it.
I'm pushing
right?
The team myself right now.
But that, for example, has not happened to you so far.
I've slightly been there, but not super like.
Yeah, you just like a little push, just to get going, and that's it. Okay.
What I find, like, it has happened sometimes. Like I feel it, obviously, and what I do in those moments is I try very hard to find topics that all the person is passionate about.
Yeah.
Once I find it, I've won.
Yeah, nice. Of course, because you get them talking, and there's no end to it, right?
Exactly. But sometimes it's hard because you don't know the person's. Like last week, I had, for example, Louisa. I didn't know her at all.
Okay, that's the one you did like an electronic interview, right? Like it was, I think it was remote, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, via Zoom.
The Brazilian.
Yes.
Was it? Yeah.
It's a Brazilian illustrator based in France.
Yeah. Okay.
Louisa Lafitte, and I don't know her. I just reached out to her on social media.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I can understand this like a very difficult situation,
I just know
right?
basic information.
Yeah.
And in those cases, it's the job of the guy that does the interview or leads the conversation to find the topics that the other person finds is passionate about and loves talking. We all love to talk about the things we're passionate about.
100%, yeah.
That's just a common ingredient. And the big deal, the big challenge I find is finding that.
No, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, you do have some sort of, let's say, charm to like bring people to talk. Because I mean, you do need. I get the feeling that when you do this, like the podcast and stuff, you do have to have that. You know, like this spark of like making. First of all, like I do gotta say, I feel myself really comfortable like talking to you. Yeah. I think that's partly because you can do that. You can make the other person, the person that's sitting in front of you, like feel comfortable, and for them to like talk.
Welcome.
I mean, yeah.
Sure. There's so much that goes into this.
Yeah, exactly. It's I do think that sometimes people kind of like underestimate what it actually takes. Yeah. Because, for example, I've seen, I have an uncle. He once he wanted to do like live streaming videos, like play video games and like record himself talking. And I think he's also that kind of person that can, like keep you entertained, even though you're not even talking to him. You just see what he does and, just hear him. You can still like watch him for a couple of minutes. You're like, oh. I'm entertained. Like I want to keep watching everything. And I think that takes some kind of like talent, like some kind of charm to actually like keep people involved, engaged in what you're doing right now, And I think kind of like, I think it's kind of like something that you do really well. Like, so like, I can like talk to you. I make you feel comfortable. Like you're welcome here to my house and stuff. And the person kind of like disinvolves themselves, and like I think even like I'm a very open guy, but I think even someone that was really close or had like trouble talking to someone, shy. You would be able to like like get the best out of him, Yeah. And I think that's pretty nice. I mean, you do this for a reason. At the end of the day, I think you can do pretty well. But it's not really easy. Like I've actually found myself in situations where I cannot do that. Like I can like talk to people, but it just get boring really quickly. You know? Like I cannot just get the best out of them. I cannot ask them the question that I have to ask because I don't know, at that moment it's maybe a little bit uncomfortable or it's just not my thing. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I appreciate your words.
Just being honest here, just being honest.
And don't get me wrong. I don't want people to think that this is easy for me. Maybe there's some portion of talent to it, but it doesn't feel like that to me.
Okay.
It feels to me like there has been a long way for me to come.
Okay. Have you, for example, noticed a big difference, for example, between your first podcast and the podcasts that you upload nowadays?
There's a massive difference.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm not talking in terms of production or anything, just like in the way you conduct the
I gotcha.
Yeah.
There is. Not only I'm way more calm. Less nervous. Today I wasn't nervous at all. sometimes
Probably
I
at the
am a
beginning
little-
you were, right? Like,
Yeah,
you're
the
like,
beginning
what am I
is-
going to talk about?
Yeah.
How am I going to keep the conversation flowing, you know?
the start is always the hardest.
Yeah. Okay.
I have to make a little introduction, people know your name, where you come from,
Yeah.
what you do.
Yeah.
And then once we start talking, we're warming up.
Klar.
And once that's done,
It just flows,
it
right?
flows, it's easy.
Exactly. Yeah. Nice.
Easy in a sense of I don't have to actively do that much anymore.
Or actively like think on questions or stuff like that,
Yeah.
right?
Well, from then on, the only thing I have to do is actively listen, understand what's coming and your ideas, and then work with that information.
Yeah.
I don't just ask you questions.
Yeah, of course.
I
I mean,
just-
this is not an interview or anything. It's like a conversation at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right?
It's there's another TED Talk I watched. In fact, it's so hard to remember the names of these guys.
TED Talks are great.
It was this lady, Celeste something.
Was it in Spanish, the TED Talk?
No, it was English.
Okay.
Yes. And she talked about communication. About communication, conversation, and about the importance of listening among them.
Great
like
topic.
she gave you she listed so many great, like, useful ways of having a great conversation.
It's also a great topic. I'm also very interested in that kind of stuff.
Oh my god, I could talk forever about this.
Yeah.
It's great. And she just one of the points was really pay attention. Listen. And most people listen with the intention to ask.
Okay.
But you should listen with intention to understand.
That's actually very interesting, because I mean, it's easily said, but it's not so easy to actually do, right?
I keep struggling with it.
Yeah.
With every episode, I practice it. This is great practice for me.
Yeah.
I love this
Of course,
because
I
I
mean,
learn.
You're talking with
so
someone
much.
probably you've like for example, the Brazilian you've never even met. You're like, hey, I'm trying to understand, trying to listen to this person, you know?
And the better and the more you listen, the more valuable the words you say will be to that person.
Would you say that you had at some point trouble with listening to people, like
Yes.
understanding people? I mean, I know I have. Like, if I think like back, like if I do like a recap of my life, I know there's been messages where I should have actually just listened and I didn't.
Well, sometimes the ideas are complex and you don't get them right away. And then there comes follow-up questions so I can understand it.
Yeah.
Sure, that happens sometimes. But that's
No, but I mean in the sense that you,
means
for example,
something
you actually
different, right?
understand. Like, for example, someone tells you something, and instead of like, I'm not saying that you judge them, but like instead of just thinking on your own way, that you actually open up and say like, "Whoa, I never actually thought of it that way." You know, like it's different.
Yes. Well, yes, of course.
Like I have a really hard time like understanding some, like for example, when we're talking about, I don't know, debates or like a really hot
Yes.
topic at the moment. For me, it's really difficult to like get in the shoes of the other person.
Oh,
Especially if they have like a very different point of view as mine. I still deal with that a lot. Like I have a really hard time with it. And that's what I think it's really interesting, like to say, instead of just like thinking about either winning the argument or like asking the next question, that you actually listen and understand what the other person is saying. You know what I'm saying?
You don't always need to understand the other person,
Okay.
actually. You roughly should know what the idea is about and kind of, being able to do a brief description of the idea.
Yeah.
You should be able to do that, but you don't need to accept it.
Yeah. Okay.
But you can respect it, right? For example, I could have disagreed with you so many times today, if I happen to have a different mindset. I mean, you said, I don't know, you love to travel on your own, you try new stuff out, you travel on your own. I was like, well, that's done.
Yeah, of course.
Would you do that?
You don't have
that's
to.
Very boring.
Exactly. You don't have to like agree with everything the other person says, but like that's the thing. Like to understand. That's what I actually think that's really difficult to do.
It is. And back in the day, I when I wasn't so aware of how important listening is, I didn't listen as much.
Okay.
I was more self-centered.
Okay.
And I spoke more than I listened. It was more about me rather than about
I understand. It was the exact same up for me.
Right.
Earlier, it was always like about me, the whole thing, you know?
And when I do that, or when I did that, what I heard was it was passive listening. I was already thinking about
like
the next,
irrelevant, right?
next thing I could add to that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, I know perfectly what you mean.
And when I do that, I don't really understand the other person in the end, because they're not important to me.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds cold, but that's actually the way it is. I mean, you
sadly
you kind of like disconnect yourself because you already know it's not relevant. Like I don't really care about that, you know?
So that's why when I do these interviews, these conversations, as I like to call them, I try to speak as little as I can.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be like that. Today is very fun, very easygoing, and I don't mind having equal amount of speaking time as you and sharing a lot. It's fine.
I mean, it's a conversation. It works both ways, right?
Sometimes, but I need to feel that from you.
Yeah.
See that? When I feel from you, you want to hear from me a lot as well. I can feel that.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I give you some as well. But normally it's not like that.
Okay.
Normally, and that's normally also the idea of the episode. It's
more like
it's about the
person
guest.
Focus, right? Yeah. Okay.
It's about the guest, and he or she has the main speaking time. It's only natural.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I understand, and I do believe that sometimes it helps that the conversation is so easygoing, because I mean, independently, like let's say the amount of speaking time that you and I get, that I think at the end of the day that plays like a secondary role.
Yeah.
But that the fact that you can have such like a constructive conversation, you know what I'm saying? That's what actually I felt today. Like we can actually like talk about certain stuff freely. Like for example, I can hear your opinion, you can hear mine. We can talk about stuff independently of agreeing or disagreeing, just simply understanding, listening, hearing each other out. And I think that that's the greatest value in like these type of conversations, you know, like actually listen to what the other person has to say, like who he or she is, what they do, what their interests are, what their passions are. And sometimes I've actually gotten the feeling that you actually learn a lot from that. I have a very particular experience in this manner. In Mexico, it's actually quite common to, like, you know, when you get a taxi or something, you speak a lot with the taxi driver. I don't know why, but it always happens. Like every time you get in a taxi, you always have a chat with the taxi driver. And I have actually learned so much from that. Like it sounds kind of stupid, but I mean, I've heard some very interesting stories. Like just driving somewhere with the taxi driver, like kind of tells me a little bit about his life. And there's been so much like interesting questions that I've actually heard or come up to because of what the person tells me. It's actually gone to the point that sometimes I have like a particular view on, let's say, a particular topic.
Yeah.
And listening to someone that actually has experienced it firsthand, for example, taxi driver talking about maybe poverty or something like that, you know, like I can make enough money, has actually changed the way I see things. Because like, hey man, this guy's actually living it. I'm not, but this guy's actually living that way. And his opinion is very valuable because I mean, he actually tells me like, you know, what the other side of the coin is, you know what I mean? And that's why I really enjoy like listening to people, because it's very constructive. You learn so many stuff. Like sometimes, even with people you sometimes don't like at the first instance, like you meet someone and say like, it's not like the kind of person I would like to chat with. But by X or Y reason, you chat with them and you listen to their stories. Like, wow, but actually, like most of my most interesting conversations that I've had is actually in that kind of situation where I think like, oh, not really my kind of person.
Okay.
But once you talk to them, it's like, wow,
surprise you.
like they've lived so much, or they've experienced some stuff that I would have never even imagined, you know? And that's the cool thing about listening, I think, you know, you get like this entire input of like really cool experiences, really cool stuff that people have actually lived, have seen, that sometimes you haven't even imagined.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, he did that. Wow.
Yes.
You know, like he's first-hand person that I receive it from.
Yes.
That's the cool thing about it, I think. But it's also, I also think it's not easy because, I mean, you have to be very patient. You have to be able to like understand where the other person comes from. You have to be able to understand what he's trying to communicate. And sometimes, even though you might not agree with what the person is saying, you have to be able to also understand where the whole argument is coming from. You know, like for example, when you talk, I remember once I was in Cancun on vacation, and Cancun is always full with Americans. It's always like no matter when you go there, there's always an American there.
Okay,
it's like, let's say, like a vacation hotspot for Americans in the Cancun. And I once talked to a guy. Interesting conversation. I was like sitting in the bar, and this guy came up and he like started chatting with me. He came from some like really like redneck state, you know, like Oklahoma or something like that. Like, I mean, completely different point of view of what I normally have, but very interesting conversation, you know. Like I actually genuinely enjoy like talking to this guy because like, wow, I've never seen it that way, or like this guy had really interesting stuff to tell. Of course, I don't agree with his points of view, and it didn't get heat or anything, which is like generally like constructive conversations, listening to each other. Really nice, really, really nice. And that's, I think that's the beauty of it. Like, you know, listening to other people, you generally learn stuff. There's no other way of learning, you know, like until someone actually tells you something, it's like, wow, I hadn't thought of that way, you know? And I think that's the cool, like the magic in it, like talking to people, actually understanding, listening to what they have to say, regardless whether you agree or not. Like sometimes there's actually valid reasons to what they have to say. It's just a different life that they've had, like different to what you've experienced or something, you know? And sometimes you just need that input, like you just need to like that, someone to tell you the other side of the coin to understand like, oh, I know where you're coming from. Like I understand, you know?
Yes. And those conversations come often out of the blue.
Exactly. You're not even expecting them.
Yes.
Sometimes it may be that you're just like really closed up in something. You're like, hey, this is the way it's supposed to be. And that's the only way it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And someone just like opens your eyes. It's like, whoa, I hadn't thought of it that way. Nice to hear that, you know?
And we all have had those conversations.
Of course. For example, Miriam just arrived home yesterday. She spent a couple of weeks with her family in Poland. And she's always told me like, hey, my family in Poland is like very conservative, like, you know, very strict.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I would really cherish to actually talk to those people to like understand, like, where do you come from? Like, why would you think that way? You know?
Yes.
I know I'm not going to agree.
You're curious.
But I'm just curious, like, to understand, like, hey, well, like, why would you think that? Like, what was your background? What's the story behind it, you know?
Yes.
And that's the cool thing sometimes about it. Because sometimes you just, of course, you don't always have the time to do it, or like the understanding to like actually listen to someone.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's actually really nice to like actually hear people out and say, okay, oh, I understand where you come from. I mean, I might disagree, of course, but I understand. Like, okay, now I understand why you think that way. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's really, really, it's magical in some way, you know? It is. I mean,
and what you encountered there in those situations, right? Those sadly rare cases that don't really happen that often.
Yeah. Right? I mean, we tend to surround ourselves with people that think the same way we do, you know? It's just natural, I think.
Yes, but also like these kind of deep, very rich conversations. I don't have those very often.
I don't either. And like you said, sadly, because like, I mean, it's
for some reason it doesn't just happen.
You actually like have this conversation, and after the conversation, you feel like you're a better person somehow. Yeah. You're like, wow, that was really cool. Like you feel better. Maybe you didn't learn something new, but you're like, I understood.
Yes.
It's like I got a new perspective of something. That's really cool. Yeah, like you said, you feel better. It's like, wow, that's a really constructive conversation. Of course, it can always get out of hand. Like if you're talking about hot topics, I don't know, let's say abortion or something like that someone gets too spicy about it.
Sure.
It can always happen. But I mean, when it's a genuinely constructive conversation, that's really cool.
With each other.
Exactly. And you might disagree, which I personally think that's the best that can happen to you, that you disagree with someone, because you actually get to know a different perspective. You know? I had my ex-girlfriend. something that I really cherished from her was exactly that. We thought we were like complete opposites in our way of thinking. Like I thought of a different, like I'm like very logical, very structured, and she's like a complete opposite. She's like really passionate, really like she like closes her eyes and takes a jump, you know.
Chaotic.
And it was really cool because like she showed me so much in that way. It was always like having a really constructive conversation with her. That was the thing I cherished the most. It was really cool because I mean I have this person next to me, which also happens to be my partner in that moment, who thinks in a completely different way that I do.
Yeah.
And in many cases, I gotta admit, like she showed me things that I was like, wow, like I had never thought of it that way. And you're completely right. I mean, it's in some cases it even changed my mind. I was like, wow, you're completely right. And I'm a very proud person. Like I don't like to admit that I'm wrong. She just managed to do it because she was like so into some stuff that I was like, wow, you know, like very cool to talk with someone without arguing, without getting stressed or anything. Just to like share points of view, like different. That's so cool, man. And like you said, sadly, it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
Like normally, actually, I think people normally avoid those kind of topics. Like if you want to like debate about something, people will say like, nah.
Because they're scared. They have had bad experiences.
Either that or they just don't really want to talk about it.
Yes.
Maybe uncomfortable topics as well. I mean, you might talk about, I don't know, let's say homosexuality with someone that's gay,
or
religion with someone that you know is very religious. And you might disagree, but when it's really constructive, it's really cool because then you really get to understand the person, like the background. You don't have to necessarily agree, but you understand.
Yes.
And that's the cool thing about it, you know. That's like the magic, the beauty of the conversation.
Yeah. And because of all that, because that moment is so precious, that was one of the main reasons I'm doing this podcast.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, when did you like kind of come up with the concept? Like, did you want to, for example, like, and the creative cast is basically like related to like creativity, but like when did you decide like this is what I want to hear, what I want to talk about?
I noticed that you sometimes you have these special conversations. And I thought, wouldn't it be awesome to have these on tape?
Yeah.
Where so many people could get new ideas and maybe even learn something from. And I try having those magical moments that just happen to you. I try to make them.
Okay.
Purposefully.
Like through the conversation, you mean?
Yeah. Obviously, it doesn't work always. Because the magic...
It's difficult.
Yeah, it needs to work. The two people need to work in some way. The topic needs to be important to both of them.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be like that. But here I try to... make room for people to be heard. And that's something so rare today. A place where you can actually talk as much as you want about what you want and how you want without anyone interrupting you, with anyone judging you.
Like listening at the end of the day, right?
Yes. If you come here and you have a ton to say, I will listen to you.
Nice. Yeah.
I will not interrupt you. And you have a platform that is not 10 minutes. Look, you have some time, make it quick.
Yeah, like generally like disinvolve yourself, right? Yeah.
If it's an hour, it's an hour. If it's 3 hours, it's 3 hours. It takes as long as you need for it to take.
That's really cool. That's actually really nice. Like really cool concept. And actually, I think it's pretty nice that you like give people this space.
That's why people are scared about talking about, for example, these very hot topics, because they're basing all their experience on this, all of these bad conversations they had that just ended up with people being mad at them or frustrated.
Yeah.
Because they're not being heard.
Have you had, like, for example, a case where someone tells you before you take the podcast, it's like, I don't know, it's too long, or let's say that someone was like a little bit intimidated about the concept of, talking so long.
Yes.
Okay.
Most people are scared.
And what's, for example, like, what do you tell them? Like, what do you tell them? Like, for example, to convince, like, hey, no, come up, like, you're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna like this.
I push them up.
Okay.
I cheer them up, of course. And I say, look, don't worry about the time. If it's short, it's short. If it's long, it's longer. It doesn't matter. Because that's a big problem I see nowadays in the news or in television interviews or host night shows, all of that. They're always restricted to a very tight time schedule. You have that much time, and they're normally quite superficial. Even in normal interviews where they talk about, intense topics.
It's like, get to the point.
There's always some time. You get some time. If there are many people talking about the topic, you get your half an hour, you get your 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's rarely a conversation either.
Yes, it's more like just say what you have to say, right?
Yes. So I often have the feeling that once it's actually getting interesting over time, and the person is getting warm and they're starting to tell more and more and more, right? That happens. They're cold in the beginning. It's like when you start to run. At some point you can't stop.
Yeah.
But you have to get there. And that takes time. Sometimes it takes half an hour, maybe it takes an hour. And that's when the most value comes after that. And if you don't feel that pressure, it's so much better.
Yeah, definitely. 100% agree with you.
And they often get cut. They are telling a story that adds to the message, and they can't finish it because they don't have the time to.
Yeah.
Here we're free.
Yeah, 100%.
We're free to do,
and it feels that way as well. It's
anything.
like I can pretty much spit in the microphone if I want to, and it's gonna be okay. Like, I'm not gonna do it. Don't worry.
I'm gonna break in front of you, and you're gonna watch me do it.
No, but that's the cool thing about it. It's like genuinely having a conversation without any prejudice, without any time, without any pressure. And that's really valuable. I mean, people don't get that opportunity very often, and people don't even notice that. Like, for example, even if you, for example, talk with your dad, for example.
Yeah.
And you're like, let's talk about something. I mean, first of all, you rarely talk about like hot topics, right? You rarely discuss something with your father.
Yeah.
And when you do, it's sometimes even frustrating because like we're not listening, we're just arguing,
Yeah.
And I think that's something really cool about this type of concepts. I mean, I know you, of course, you're not the only one that does this, but I really, I hope not. Like, to be honest, I really have like so far enjoyed myself really much, and it's really cool. Like, independent whether you agree or not, it's just like listening, talking to each other, having a great time at the end of the day, and that doesn't come really often. Even though people actually talk very often, it's rarely, or there's rarely a situation where you can actually talk this long and like actually hear the other person out. Like actually generally showing interest for what the other person says.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. That's really nice.
It's becoming so rare because we are in a world where everything is getting quicker.
Moves too quickly. Yeah, definitely.
No time. And
for example, outside of a podcast, when would you say is the last time you had like a deep, genuine conversation with someone?
Outside of the podcast?
Yeah. Like without counting yet, because I mean, I know you do it, but I mean, outside of the podcast, that you say like, hey man, we've talked for like an hour. Really cool. Really?
With my brother.
Really cool. Really cool.
I really like that.
Yeah.
But it's not that like it just happened to be yesterday. But normally outside of it, I don't.
It's rare, right?
Yeah,
it's rare.
I don't.
Yeah.
No, because oftentimes, you're outside, you're doing something. You don't sit with someone and talk.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't do that.
You always do something, but you never actually talk. I mean, it's never the complete purpose of the thing,
Sometimes you're lucky. Maybe you visit a friend, or friend visits you, and you have a coffee together, and you take some time for you two to chit chat and to gossip.
Yeah.
Okay,
especially gossip.
Yeah, especially that. And that's normally the occasions where you have a glance at this. And we love it and we look for it. Oh, and sometimes I get asked, hey, let's have a coffee together and have some.
Yeah, definitely.
Have some stuff to tell you that are new in my life right now. Let's see each other.
Yeah, that's always nice.
So people want this. They look for these type of conversations.
100%. I actually generally think that people miss somehow being like listened to, like you said, it's like word that moves too fast, and sometimes all that you really want to do is someone to listen to you, or someone like to talk to, like when you can generally like express yourself the way you have it's just you.
Yes.
And that is it, like you said, it's sadly a rare thing. You don't come across that very often. It's actually very difficult sometimes to find like a person to generally have a conversation with.
That's normally the people that become good friends of yours.
100%. I mean, you have a great conversation. It's definitely a person you want to keep.
Like marry me or something.
No, but yeah, generally, I mean, it's. Yeah, I mean, I think the word sadly just fit it perfectly. I mean, sadly, it's a very rare thing. I mean, you don't find it very often anymore.
Yeah. This podcast is just a celebration and a reminder that this exists. This is important, and that is something we should all try to work on.
Definitely. Is this, for example, something you have planned for like the future? Like keep the same thing going in this podcast? Do you have like planned to like do something different? Or is like, well, what's the thing with the podcast? Like, how can you imagine yourself in a podcast yet in, I don't know, let's say 10 years? I mean,
you could do a podcast as well.
Yeah, I mean, I could. It's not
take the hat.
No, but I mean, you probably. I mean, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing you have like an idea for this podcast. Like, you have like a project or like a vision of where this could go.
It is really. I'm not fixed. I don't have a fixed goal.
Okay.
I just want to be consistent. I want to deliver.
Do you have like a rule of, let's say, podcast per week or something?
I do once a week.
Okay.
I try. Sometimes I don't have someone, but I try to make it once a week. Well, it's hard to find people that are brave enough to do this.
Okay.
I'm lucky that I found already 23 people to be here.
Yeah, that's nice.
For me right now, what is important is I want to enjoy this. I feel blessed to have great conversations every single week.
Nice. Yeah, of course.
I love that. I am thankful for all the valuable lessons and experience.
Like the knowledge they share, right?
I learned so much. And I'm so happy for that. I not only about them, but about communication, about technology. So I want to keep this up. I want to do this long term. Years. This is for years.
Yeah, nice. I mean, it's at the end of the day kind of like a hobby for you right now, right?
Yes.
So it's not like you're like completely focused on
this. This is a passion project.
Very nice. Nothing better. The reason, like we said earlier, like that's the reason behind it. Yeah.
Yes.
Very nice.
I've had so many passion projects that I didn't finish because I tried them and they didn't work out for one reason or another. This is the first time I start something that I truly believe in and that I'm serious about keep doing.
What was, for example, like a project that you tried before or something that didn't take off
real well? YouTube channel, for example.
Okay.
I did like tutorials. I did vlogs.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, interesting.
It was fun. It was some years ago.
And like what type of tutorials? Was it like a particular topic or just like general, some like
I explained about photography in mainly.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I explained the camera and explain. I did some. I don't know. You can check it out, but
it's just celebrity here, Lucas.
Nah, no way. Probably just my mother and me have seen those. 2
likes.
No, it's just. But those were important. Important to try them and no, those are not the things I want to do. No. Until you hit a yes. It's really, for me, it was one of the biggest challenge to find something I'm really passionate about. I found photography, and after photography, I found this.
Nice.
Nice. It was really hard to start this podcast as well.
Okay. Like in what?
In all senses, like gear. There's an income, and this costs money to do. The arms, the table, the chairs, microphone, cables, software, computer, camera, 1,000 things, headphones.
Yeah, it's not that easy actually, right?
There's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah.
So not only all the equipment you need, and the economical investment it means for you, it is also oh my god, what should I try? It starts with you being okay with it, with being mentally strong enough,
definitely,
to not be scared to do this, to not be influenced too much by all the people that tell you, it's shit.
Why? Yeah.
To be able to keep moving, even though it might not be growing.
Did you get a lot of like people trying to like scare you off from it, or was it okay? Like people were generally supportive.
I was lucky enough for people to be only supportive. Actually,
very nice. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very important part of it.
Yeah, but the thing is, actually, I thought there wouldn't be.
Okay. So you were like scared, even though you didn't even know how they were going to react. Okay.
I was like, people's gonna judge me. People maybe might disagree with what I said.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe it's tough. Like just simply finding the people to talk to. I think that's already like leaving out the whole technique and everything you need, which of course I believe is already a big challenge.
Yeah.
Like that, like actually finding the people.
That's just work. It's just you have to go out there, be active. You have to invite them. You have to train and practice and make rules that work. In the sense of, okay, I start and I introduce quickly, and then this is the way I do it. I could do it in a different way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could maybe, not do video.
Yeah, of
I
course,
could do several people. I could have not a host, but just a group chat.
Have you thought about like making a different concept?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course. That was another part, like coming out with the concept. Took me so long. Like, okay, how am I going to do it? Where am I going to do it? Do I have the room, the space to do this? Do I have the time?
Yep.
To take care of it? To process the video, the audio? To do this? It's all of that. And there you have to learn how to use all of that. You have to learn how to make a podcast.
Yeah, of course.
How the podcast world works.
I mean, experience is going to be at the end of the day your teacher, right? I mean, you probably learned a lot from like the way you've done stuff, from what it took to come this far. Yeah.
There's so many things that go into this.
Yeah, I mean,
the logo.
At the end of this, like any single hobby, it's like whenever you want to do something, you have to invest the time, and you have to invest the will to do it.
Yes.
I don't think podcasts are any different. I mean, like you say, you have to build up like your whole setup, like microphones, camera, audio, whatever you need. I mean, I'm not an expert. Find the people, find the topic, find the structure.
Yes.
Like, I don't think it's an easy job. But I'm happy because from what I get is you really enjoy doing this.
Yes.
Like you have a lot of fun talking to people. You have a lot of fun setting the whole stuff up. And that's the best you can do. I mean, if you find a hobby that generally, like, let's say, gives you or fulfills you, there's nothing better.
Don't get me wrong. Sounds like I'm complaining, but
no. I mean, it's just, of course, I understand there's a difficult part of it. I mean, everything that comes in life, it's difficult at some point. For example, you wanna get in shape, you have to work hard at the gym. You wanna learn how to sing, then you have to train. I mean, everything in life comes with a price. Let's call it that way. And I think podcasts are no different.
Exactly. It's a lot of work, but if you love it, which is what I do,
and there's nothing better.
There's nothing better work.
Exactly, because you're gonna enjoy every single second of it.
You put the time in, and you don't regret it at all.
Of course not, man.
And you just have to be persistent. You just have to, don't get lazy, because that's something I sometimes do. I like to get lazy sometimes.
Would. I mean, we all have good and bad days.
I don't want to do it today.
Like, fuck the podcast, man.
Yes, I've been there. I have fucking been there. I was like, okay, maybe I should just give up.
Cancel.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I agree, man.
It's always the easiest option.
If I did something like this, it would be the same. There would be days where I would say like, oh man, fuck this shit. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. You party on a Friday night. And on a Saturday morning, you have to fucking get up and have the conversation like, I shouldn't have gone out today.
That's exactly the cool thing. And I actually envy you, because I think I haven't actually found like a hobby that passionates me this much. Probably like sport. I mean, I really love playing volleyball, for example. I really love doing sports. But like other than that, I don't really have like something like this, like something that I would say I want to do it just because I want to. Most of the things I do, they always have like a particular reason behind. For example, I don't know, I work, I need to earn money at some point. I do enjoy my work, but it's not something, for example, I wouldn't work an extra hour just because of the fun of it,
Yes.
Like the only thing I generally do, like I generally enjoy, and I would do it as much as I can, is sports. Like that's for me like a definite passion. I mean, I don't have to be the best. For example, volleyball, I don't have to be the best volleyball player in the place, but I really enjoy it, man. And every time I do it, it's like, wow, great, man. Like I could play another hour if I had the condition to do it. But it's like the few things that I generally notice, wow, I really enjoy this. I really want to like do this as much as I can. And I mean, I don't know what yours, like I understand that you really enjoy doing this. I don't know like to what extent like it specifically goes to. But like the fact that you're consistent with it, that you invested the time, the money, the everything that you have put into this, it gives me the impression that you really enjoy doing this, and that like the more you can do it, the better.
Yeah.
And that's something I think you should really cherish, man. It's just really valuable to find something that entertains you this much, that really fulfills you this much, That's
I'm
really
very
cool.
happy that I found this.
That's really cool. That's really cool, man. I'm genuinely happy for you. Like I'm actually a little bit jealous. No, but really cool, man. Really cool. I mean, if it's really the thing that you say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is like my place to be, then keep doing it, man. Like my only advice would be just stay in.
No, I'm not gonna fucking give up. No way. There's just no way.
And you would say, for example, for you, it's pretty irrelevant, let's say, becoming famous because of this. Like you would do this regardless of followers, regardless of whether you make or not money. It's just like your passion, and you will keep doing this.
Yes. Obviously,
that's very important.
It would be great that could live out of this.
100%.
That would be amazing. But if not, I would still do it.
Yeah. Nice.
Because it's not the goal. It's not the reason.
Exactly. That's just like extras that can happen because of this. Yeah.
It's very different from the average person that has their work, that it's not their favorite thing.
Yeah.
As you said, most people wouldn't work extra for the passion, because oftentimes it's not your business.
Exactly.
Right? But if you do your own business, and you
change
start
the
your
whole
own
thing, right?
That's very different.
Changes. Yeah. Very nice.
Now you're working. I love the roller coaster we had today.
It was pretty intense, right? I think the conversation had pretty much about everything.
Holy shit. Yeah, we talked about everything but your job.
That's true.
It's right.
Like I just literally introduced it real quick. I was like, okay, let's get hands on it.
Let's get to the real shit.
Yeah, I mean, true.
It's fine. We talked about very interesting topics. I loved it. And regarding Rollout Manager, we briefly touched on it. We talked about 5G, and the importance and impact it is having. Regarding that, I've heard that like the range is really shit.
The 5G range,
like it doesn't even like, it's like one tower is for like a block.
Yeah, the thing is, when you talk about like signal, for example, for cell phones, like signal in a manner that's not like directly hooked with a wire or anything. It is difficult because at the end of the day, to deliver this much speed takes a lot of let's say, technology. And you're right. I mean, like the average 5G antenna is not as effective as, for example, 4G or something. All right. It's being improved, and I think it's gonna keep getting better. At the end of the day, people work really hard on this topic. But let's say that even the most developed countries, like for example Germany, the US, they still have a long way to go to like fully implement a completely functional 5G network where you pretty much cover everything. It's gonna get there because it's, like I said, it's a very hot topic nowadays, and it's getting better every day. But you're right. There's still a lot of like deficiencies regarding like the 5G network.
All right. Well, about the signal range.
Exactly.
Mainly infrastructure.
It's getting better, like I said. I mean, there's a lot of like very technical aspects from it. I don't understand all of them, to be honest, but but yeah, I know it's getting better.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're on the right track. We're on the right track.
Before we'll also be heading towards the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
No pressure.
I need to play volleyball today.
You read my mind.
We have to go play volleyball today.
You have to redeem yourself from last time, man. Last time you were pretty weak, I gotta say.
True. 2 days ago, I played so shitty.
That was pretty bad.
Today, I'll kick your ass on the court.
We'll see. I mean,
promise.
If that's something I take seriously, it's fucking volleyball.
Before we end, I would love you to share with our listeners where they can find you on social media if they happen to have any questions.
Okay, sure.
Want to hit you up with anything? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, to all the people that listen to this, if you're interested to get in touch with me, I'm always available through social media. I got Instagram, Facebook. Facebook, you guys can find me under Abe, and then a big G, a slash, and a V. Complicated name, sorry, but it's just the way it is.
Big G.
Exactly. Instagram, I'm as Abe GV, bottom line, and then 10. Then in case you want to get in touch through Instagram. I don't use Twitter. I don't use TikTok or any other, let's say, newer social media.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
But like I said, if anyone wants to get in touch, have a nice, decent conversation, I'm always up for it. I want to thank you also as well, Lucas. This was incredibly fun. I was actually not expecting it this good. But it was really nice. Thank you for the space. Thank you for the time. And yeah, like I said, if anyone wants to reach out, always up for it.
Great. Thank you for that. Obviously, I'll put the links everywhere.
Yeah. I'll send you the information that you need.
Easy peasy. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed this today. Probably not as much as we did. That's gonna be very hard.
Yeah, no, I think it was really good. I gotta say, I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Many valuable lessons today and ideas. Yeah, you can take away from today's episode.
100%.
Super excited to get this posted and out there in the world. Thank you, Abe.
Thank you, Lucas. I had a great time, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Okay, great. And with this is a wrap. I'm Lucas, and this was the Creative Cast.